Are there people in the house this afternoon? Please put your hands together for Bidemi Treasure and this wonderful band. Wow. They just set us in a mood for a wonderful time this evening. I'd like to welcome all of us to BAD, BAD, Breaking Addictions and Distractions. My name is Dr. Olurunke Adesolagbaja. And with me are so many wonderful people in the house this evening. It promises to be a very exciting program. We've had BAD as a program, as a show several times. We've held it. Tonight, I want all of us to relax. It's going to be interactive. There's going to be music, all kinds of genre. We're going to have an interactive time in which your voice can be heard and you will speak, you will ask questions. There's going to be a question and answer time. And our special guest, Christy Baturi Ogbefu, all the way from Port Harcourt, is in the house right here, looking very natty. You know, well, that's old school, they say. I don't know what the word they use right now, but you know what I'm talking about. Looking bad in a righteous manner. We have several guests with us today, and we will be recognizing them as they come along. But I want to especially, just because I'm a jazz enthusiast and he's just sets me rolling, I want especially to begin with Bidemi Treasure of Tigris fame. He's in the house. Please appreciate him very well so that he can blow that sax. And the wonderful band with him. God bless you guys. Woo! Siba is in the house. You don't want to miss when Siba gets on that stage. PIDH is in the house. Our very own Praise in the house is in the house. And we have so many of our partners that are present here. The sounds that you're hearing, the lights that you're seeing is by none other than Innate Arts and Media. I am. Tiwa, you know, this is our own. It's the very best, no apologies now, for events, for sound, for lights, for all the feferefe that you want. I am got you covered. Please let's appreciate I am. 700 Club is in the house supporting us. We have TVS, a television station, supporting us. Christy Bature Mentoring House, which runs the 360, 180. You know, mine has become 360. No, hers is 180. That's why she's in the house with us. 180-degree rehab home in Port Harcourt. It's a fantastic place. We have so many of our people here that are supporting us. And please appreciate yourself as being a guest for being on time. For being on time. You have to clap for yourself. Because we have a disease in Abuja. We have to break that. That's the first distraction we have to break. Keeping to time. When we say 2, we mean 2. There's nothing like African time. When God said, let there be light, he did not wait for Africans first. Light came into existence immediately. All right? So there's so many, and we will be recognizing people as we go on. And so I welcome you to Breaking Addictions and Distractions. This is put together. It's one of the things we offer as a ministry, Strong Foundation Ministries. We have a church, it's called the Strong House. But this meeting, we have to agree that addictions and distractions is no respecter of religion. Neither is it a respecter of denominations. It's not a respecter of color. It's not a respecter of size. It's not a respecter of anybody. They tell us that 16 million people in Nigeria are addicts. Well, I'm hearing that that is very small. In fact, if based on the things that we have faced in the past 1 month in Nigeria, that is enough to build more addicts in this land, if you know what I'm talking about. So, but we're going to have an interactive time later. So, but right now, without much ado, with so much joy, can you make welcome our very own, oh, sorry, before I finish my welcome, please, we need to put our hands together for our online people. You don't know the number of people that are watching online right now. That's the beauty of the pandemic. Right now, it has changed the face of how things are being done. Now you can be the only one in the room and you're reaching millions of people. And the effect will continue to reverberate. It's beauty. You see, God is the only one that makes beauty out of ashes. Even out of a pandemic, beauty has emerged. Now I'm not afraid if my seats are empty. I can't contain the number of people that are online and participating right now. And the beauty of it all is beyond today, it's going to continue. That is awesome. That is awesome. So we welcome, and please put our hands together for our online audience, even right now, that are watching wherever you are. Can you clap for yourself? Welcome to Breaking Addictions and Distractions. Put your hands together for Siba. Siba. Somebody wants to get religious with me and say, why haven't we prayed? Guess what? Where 2 or 3 people are, God is present. God is present in this place already. Please climb up. Woo!
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Are there people in this house? Hello, everyone. Like she said, sorry, I didn't say praise the Lord, sorry, praise the Lord. Hello, everyone. All right, so I'm here to share my testimony, I'm going to say, but first of all, let me just say thank you so much, staff, please, let's put our hands together for Reverend Polycarp Baja. I want to say this first of all, that the Strong House is the first place I ever felt comfortable to share my testimony, my story. Yeah, I remember then Pastor Mo, thank you very much, sir. Big ups to Pastor Mo for bringing me out, dragging me out into the light. And I used to feel ashamed to share my testimony because I felt like, not like I felt like, but it's true. You know, when you tell people about your story, there comes some form of judgment. You know, there comes some form of condemnation. Like, this girl is a pastor's child. You know, this girl looks, you know, too good for these things she's saying. Anyways, but when I was in school, started in secondary school, SS1, thereabout, was the first time I ever had an encounter with, I'm saying encounter, the first time I ever had a drag of marijuana was in secondary school. And the person that introduced me to it, funny enough, is dead now. Yeah, but he was this my Muslim friend, very, very, you know, crazy guy. He lived very close to me, and, you know, alcohol and all of that. For a Muslim, you know, that's very strange. But in fact, his death was connected to that. You know, he's in the north and all this crazy stuff is going on. Someone caught him and killed him and took his privates and all of that. But that's story for another day. But that was the first time I had this encounter. And the reason why I got there was, it was a struggle for acceptance. You know, I wanted to be accepted because I was a little bit odd, as it were. I don't know how to explain it. I won the award for the most annoying girl in my school. Yeah, so I was just awkward. I've never been comfortable to share this, like I said, until I got to the Strong House. Yeah, please play softly. So that's the testimony I'm here to share. Please listen and be encouraged. One thing I like about BAD is we say breaking addictions and distractions. Distraction for me is that God has a purpose for you. God has a plan for you. So the devil knows that if he cannot take the gift, because the gift of God are without repentance, he can't take the gift from you, but he can distract you. If he keeps you running around, doing while your purpose is there, that's the distraction. And then I like get help now or help someone. So you may be here and you may not have an addiction, but this is someone that was addicted to alcohol, marijuana. And it wasn't just alcohol and marijuana. It was anything that could get me numb. I just wanted to be numb. I just didn't want to deal with reality. And so this is my story. With my peers as a child growing up, I was just like oil in a cup of water. I couldn't mix up. Feelings, dreams, hopes, and ambitions in the mind of a child all stayed locked up. See, I felt messed up. School was the Azkaban of my dreams, if you know Harry Potter. And that was just a prison. I was like a prisoner filled with talents to the brims. Those years were filled with torments and screams, and the tears that I shed could make about a dozen streams. See, life was all I never wanted. Even the life of the dead kind of got me really tempted, because all I did was struggle to get accepted. And no matter how hard I tried, I still got rejected. I couldn't talk to no one about it. I got into weed and booze, but I was not an addict. See, if you take confusion and frustration and add it, yeah, that was me. And no one cared about it. I couldn't make a friend. I couldn't just blend. I didn't even send because my life they couldn't mend. I didn't see the reason for leaving. In my heart, negative thoughts I kept on conceiving. Insults from around I kept on receiving. I said my life isn't that bad. But who was I deceiving? Now, this is a continuation with testimony. Here I am right now standing here. That's my husband over there with my baby. So, God brought me out of that situation, and looking back from where I'm coming from to where I am, I can't put them side by side, compare and rhyme. The struggle for acceptance always weighed me down. See, I couldn't even take me serious, kind of like a clown. Frustration and depression was all my content. I'll pick a pen to write. Lyrics sounds disjointed. Have you forced yourself to cry just to feel repentant? In the midst of a crowd, but my soul felt distant. See, have you forced yourself to cry? Hangover. Just to feel repentant. In the midst of a crowd, but my soul felt distant. Good meets evil, super cold, then came my vices. Things got really complex, man. Situation dicey. We aren't unaware of Satan's devices, but I stuck like a leech. Thought I'd take my chances. Living on the edge, man. All those mad voices. Lost in a maze of me, courtesy bad choices. I'm sure you know what saved is when you hear the sound. I'm a living testimony, was lost but now I'm found. I'm sure you know what saved is when you hear the sound. See, I'm a living testimony. I was lost but now I'm found. Now, what brought me out of that? I struggled with this for a very, 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 very long time. Even there were times where I'll come to church. Listen, I was a Christian the whole time. I was a Christian the whole time. I look like you're just sitting here. I was in church, crossing my leg. When they're talking about addiction, I'll be like, I'll be checking my Bible. Yeah, I was faking it. I was hiding it. It was alcoholism. It was everything. I'll feel depressed. I'll use alcohol to numb the pain. Yeah, I know. Yeah. People online, you know what I'm talking about. You look good. People see you and you look good. But there was one thing that took me out of all of that, and it was love. It was the love of God. The Bible says that it's the love of God that draws us to repentance. It was the love of God. So there was this day I gave a testimony in my family devotion. And I said, I don't know why. Taking out to go and drink with my friends. I'm smoking cigarette. I'm doing all of these things. But yet, I'm still getting unusual favor. Sometimes I don't submit a CV. I get a job. I'm not doing anything. I'm making money. Like, why am I getting all these blessings? Because God loves us unconditionally. The love of God does not need you to be good. He's good for you. So that in fact, pierced hands, pierced feet, battered and bruised, bleeding from head to toe, beaten beyond recognition. Bodily disfiguration, that was the price paid in full for my redemption, for my reconciliation, offered at no cost to me. But it cost him everything. He said he'll do just anything to get me back. He did. Y'all better believe that he's coming back. See, now I'm seated in heavenly places above principalities and powers. His name is a strong tower. I know who I am, man. You know whose name I carry? Child of the Most High, man. Oti Barry, it's finished. Listen, greater love has none than this. He gave his life on the cross for me. In that, he gave me life. Cleaned me up real good, then he called me wife. Now I'm justified, just as if I'd never sinned. Come on. I said I'm justified, just as if I'd never sinned. Come on. Check the scriptures, flip the pages, see the stages, phases of pain, insane that he went through, just to prove his love for me. That is why I gave my life to him. Dedicate my time to him to avoid destruction. That is why I gave my life to him. Dedicate my time to him. My life's purpose is found in him. See, I know I find meaning, living, breathing, have my being, because I've been washed clean by the blood of Jesus. Save your condemnation. I'm in Christ Jesus. I said I've been washed clean by the blood of Jesus. Save your condemnation. I'm in Christ Jesus. Now the distraction aspect of it is this. The devil wants you to use drugs and alcohol and every other thing. It's come on, every other thing, rochi, every other thing to numb your pain. But the only person that can give you the peace you're searching for is God. There's no other truth. The only person that can give you the peace you're searching for is Christ. You know why? He put the void there. He put a God-sized vacuum in your heart. And no matter how many bottles of alcohol you drink, none of them can feel it. No matter how many drags of weed you take, it can't feel it. It is only God himself that can feel that vacuum. And so I drop all my burdens at the foot of your cross and carry your light load of forgiveness and trust. You're full of mercy, ignoring all of my mistakes, giving me fresh grace even before I seek your face. See, Lord, you're all that and much more. That is why it's you that I adore, because loving you can never ever be a chore, because you love me regardless my countless flaws. Perfect love drives away all fear. I stand fearless because my God is ever near. He showers me with kindness I never deserved. My body may die, but my soul in you is ever preserved. See, you're my everything. My past is forgiven. My present is given new meaning, and my future is guaranteed. What more do I need? God is my addiction. Thank you.
Yeah. How y'all feeling this evening? How y'all feeling this evening?
Awesome.
Y'all feeling good in this evening? We are PIDH. Welcome to Breaking Addictions and Distractions. Feel easy. Look easy.
Rock bottom, but I can't take no more. No.
The enemy knew which buttons to press. Now I'm stuck in a pile of my own mess, and I don't know what it will take, but I'm coming out. It was a mess. told me to be. Step by step, you've already done it. You're waiting on me, but I don't know what it will take. But I'm coming down. It wasn't meant for me to stay here longer. It ends with living on the ride. I'm coming down. God will get the glory of my life. I'll get it right this time. I'm coming down. Out of fear.
I'm coming,
But more importantly,
I'm coming,
to love,
I'm coming,
to joy,
I'm coming,
to peace,
I'm coming,
to happiness.
I'm coming,
The sound of mine flowing inside. Only you can rescue me. Don't you know I'm coming down? It wasn't meant for me to stay here longer. Be content with living on the ride. I'm coming down. God will get the glory of my life. Get it right this time. I'm coming down. I'm coming down. It wasn't meant for me to stay here longer. Be content with living on the ride. I'm coming down. You will get the glory of my life. Get it right this time. I'm coming down. To get the glory of my life. You said that you will set free and deliver. So God, please deliver. I'm coming. I'm coming
All right. Okay, can you clap for PIDH now? I'm sure you can do better than that. The song is by Jonathan McReynolds. I'm coming out. No more distraction. No more addiction. I don't know if that's your story or you're still considering. Don't worry, by the time we are done, you would have made a firm decision. I would like to welcome you to Breaking Addictions and Distractions one more time. This is our interactive time, and this is the time we talk. I'm not going to be doing this talking alone. You are going to be talking alongside with me, and there's a microphone. If you want to say something, this is, you know, for everything that makes sense. Everything that makes sense has rules, Abby. So we go by it, okay? So we'd like to hear your voice. And if you want to say something, you'll just indicate. One of the ushers will give you a microphone. And when you answer or you want to say a comment, please tell us your name. You can give us just your first name. You don't need to give us a full name. You can just tell us your name and then answer the question. We have a few minutes to do that. Okay. Well, I had welcomed people earlier on. I'd like to welcome our close friends. The wife is my dear sister. We just flow in the spirit like Kilode. All right. Apostle We call him Bam. You know, he's the funky apostle. He's not like the old-time apostles at all. But with the old-time religion, Apostle Makonjola and his dear wife, Pastor Joy Makonjola, please make them feel welcome. When you want to know the quality of person you are, you should just show us the quality of friends that you have. And we have very good friends in the house, even this evening. And they're here with their lovely daughter. I won't miss out because the future belongs to them. They're the ones going to carry this message until the end. Thank you very much. And for all of you that came into alongside, you're welcome. I'd like to welcome you. You're welcome, ma'am. You're welcome, all of you. And you're welcome to all those joining us online as well. Okay, so let's start with a few things. What's a distraction? What's a distraction? Please, you need to lift your hand and an usher will give you a microphone and you'll say, see, we have just about 10, 20 minutes. 10 minutes to do this, 10, 20, between 10 and 20. Depending on how good we are, we can extend it beyond 10. If you are lifting your hands, please let me see. What's a distraction? What's a distraction? Can I see that? Has anybody ever been distracted before? Anybody? Nobody distracted? At least Siba confessed to being distracted. Well focused, okay. I get to be distracted a lot of times. This light is distracting me. That's a distraction, and we need to break distractions. So should we break the light? No, we can't break the light. So it's not that kind of distraction we're talking about. Okay, so what are we talking about? What are the things that distract? Okay, let me say this. A distraction is something that keeps you from concentrating. Anything that takes your ability to concentrate away is a distraction. So, what are things that distract? Let's interact, people. What are things that distract? Can I see a hand? Any hand going up? What are things? Nobody wants to talk today. Sir? You see, you're mumbling to yourself. I can't hear you. You need a microphone. Yeah. What? What are you saying? Somebody says fuel queue. That's a sure distraction. Devices. What kind of devices? Phones. Okay, let's personalize it. What are the kind of things that kind of distract you? Yeah, there's somebody in front. Please, and like I said, please just say your name. Just the first name. Okay.
Friends can distract one.
Yeah. Friends. Like how? Now tell me, give me an example.
Like you want to study and your friend calls you on the phone, please can we chat or come, let's go and sit down somewhere.
So, but do you want to break that friendship?
You may not want to break, but there's a way you can handle it.
Okay, like how? How would we can handle it?
You may decide to ask the person, I'm doing something now, okay, can we shift
The gist.
the gist to some other time?
To some other time. So you tell the person, I have a different priority right now.
Now, yes.
We're still friends, so
Yes.
I still like you.
Yes.
But you're distracting me from my purpose right now.
For now.
Even though you're my friend.
Yes.
Good, okay? Anybody else? Yes, the microphone there. The microphone right there, there's someone. Please, we need the ushers, please. You have to help with, so that we can easily move. Yes.
Good evening, everyone.
Yes,
My name
good
is
evening.
Crown.
Your name is?
Crown.
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 Crown, okay.
So for me, I feel that
Crown, okay.
distractions are things that delay you or keep you away from achieving your goals.
Yes.
If you set a task to do, distractions
Yes.
is what will keep you behind from achieving that thing that you set out to do.
Yes. Fantastic, Crown. I agree. Just like Obiageli says, that a friend can distract you. No, please give it to Crown. So, like, what kind of goals could you have? And you could be distracted from it.
Or you could have long-term goals and short-term goals.
No, don't go too deep now. We all have goals. Everybody, with the year is still early. When we all started the year, we all had long-term goals, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some of us can't even remember some of those goals by now. Abi, not be true. So let's not go too far. Let's break it down. Let's talk the cocoa talk now. So, we're not talking about long-time goals and all those things.
So for instance, let's say I plan to do something.
Have you ever been distracted?
Yes, we always.
Tell me, give me an example.
Okay. An example of distraction is, for instance, I'm a student and I want to study for an upcoming exam, and then I just get a phone call from a friend like, "How far? Where are you? Let's hang out," and all this kind of stuff. So I'm like, I'm not free now. I'm not free now. Maybe I'm doing some other time.
It seems friends are in trouble this evening.
Yes.
Siba told us about friends. Obageli has mentioned friends. Crown too has mentioned friends. Hey God, thank you, the Mokonjolas that keep me on my path. All right. Oh, what is an addiction? Okay, no. Somebody wanted to say something. Please, microphone too. Microphone, Natasha. Okay, what's your name?
My name is Natasha. So on the previous question on distraction, I just wanted to give a different example. Like now, I'm sitting and I'm listening, and then when this came in, it distracted me. My goal was to get what Mr. Crown was saying, but I missed some of it when the screen came in.
Yes.
That was a distraction.
Yes, absolutely. So how did you deal with it? Are you still distracted? What did you do with it?
I pushed myself.
You pushed yourself.
I went back to what I was.
It took your attention for a while. So we will say that things that distract have the ability to take your attention, but depending on how long you allow yourself to be distracted, you purposefully took yourself off that distraction. Is that so? So we're getting more clarity on things that distract. Okay? Now, because we're talking about distraction, is there somebody there? Okay, let's one more about that. Your name, please.
My name is Madmo.
Okay.
Religion is the biggest distraction for me.
Okay. All right.
The Nigerian government is a distraction.
Okay. Institutions. Now, what Madmo is doing is he's mentioning institutions as being a major distraction. Because he said religion. Because religion is birthed from an institution, isn't it?
Yes, after we finish talking these things now, tomorrow one pastor will just come up and say, all this is just rubbish, that everything is spiritual. They are just come for prayer. Pay tithe and all will be, it's a distraction. So it's,
you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Because like what Natasha said, she didn't wait for any pastor to pray for her before she put herself back on focus. Because for distractions, a lot of times you're on your own. And it will not take prayers for you to get back. Sometimes, some things, prayer is something to augment. There's the power of prayer. It's very, very important. But that's not the only thing. Prayer without your personal cooperation will get you nothing. It won't get you anywhere. Because I can pray until I'm all blue and pray with you, and you go out of this place and your mind is made up not to even listen to what I'm saying. There's nothing prayer can do. I can't force you. That's why all of us are not saved. Some of us will go to hell. Some of us will go to heaven. There is no doubt about it. God wants all of us in heaven. But based on what our decisions are, isn't it? We make our choices, and some of us are set on going to hell. And hell we will go. But some of us that are set on going to heaven, heaven we will go. Nothing will. Because it's not about prayer now. It's about you personally making a decision and staying focused. Now, what are addictions? Because let's break addictions down. What are addictions? Has anybody been addicted to anything before? I like that. I like that. When I was very, very young, I think I watched my first Blue movie when I was, oh, you know what Blue movies are? Pornographic movies. Sorry. You see, I'm old school. Yes, I know. Yes, I know. I watched the first one when, I can't remember how old I was. And we used to do that with my brothers. You are young people, shut up. Oh. And I'm the firstborn, and we used to sit down and gather around and, oh my God. I think I think, no, it started a long time before then, when we were in the US. And you know, that's when we had all these books. I can't remember their titles anymore. You know, and my father would close. You know, he was a student. He was doing his PhD. My mom, too, was a student. She was in different parts of New York. And especially on Wednesdays, we'll close on time. So that you know that I wasn't ever this nice and pure. All right? So that you can talk about it. Let's break it down. My children are here, the ones I saw, they know. All right? My father, so we will close on Wednesdays on time. And my father in his bedside cabinet had some of those funky books. Thank God my father is late now, so you won't be feeling embarrassed. All right? And I would use, I'm trying to remember the name, The Other Side of Midnight. It was by one of those, you know. And I'll sneak, and I was an avid reader. My father taught me to read. I read and read and read. And I'll sit and I'll read, and I was barely 10. I was 10. It burnt an image in my mind. And it's something I've always had to fight, even until today. All right? Am I talking to someone? It caused something, a hunger in me, that only God Almighty, what it has caused in my life, if not because of God. It started a long time ago. My poor parents didn't know what was happening because I was sneaking to do it. So I got addicted to romance novels, to Mills and Boons. My money went on Mills and Boons. I read 14 James Hadley Chases in 2 weeks. That's like reading one every day. That was how bad my addiction was. And you know, as I grew older, it grew worse. All right, we're not talking about me now. Let's put it aside. Amen. All right. So you understand why certain movies, I don't tolerate them. Because once it starts with all the swear words in it, it starts stirring up something inside me that I don't want to come up. So what is an addiction? What is an addiction? Don't get quiet on me now. What's an addiction? What's an addiction? If we say distraction is something that does not allow you to concentrate, you are raising your hand? Yes. Please, there's somebody there, microphone there, and there's somebody there at the back. What's an addiction? Yes, ma'am.
Actually wanted to speak on distraction.
Yes.
But let me talk on addiction.
Yes.
Addiction is something that you can't do without, even though it's good or bad.
It makes you dependent.
Yes.
Important.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yes. Yes. What's an addiction? Yes. There's a lady there. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Addiction is habits that are difficult to break.
They are difficult. They are habits, and they are difficult to break. Have you ever been addicted to anything?
Yes. Coke.
Like what? Coke. What's Coke?
Coke.
Coca-Cola. You know, because when you say Coke, I'm from a generation that we call something else Coke. I think they have a different name for it now. It's still Coke.
Still Coca-Cola.
What are the other names? No, there's Coca-Cola. So what was your addiction of Coca-Cola? Let's talk about the addiction of Coca-Cola. I like that because some people don't think it's an addiction.
Well, it's a carbonated drink and it gives me sugar rush. So I like the sugar in it. And
so how many were you drinking that gave you the impression you were addicted?
2, 3 a day.
Oh, okay. You never reach, oh.
No,
I know people that...
I had to stop.
Yeah. Very important. You know, that was your level of addiction. I know people that finished a crate or practically a crate in one day, isn't it? I don't want to call names, but I know people that actually drank that amount of Coca-Cola. The other time somebody when we had a bad meeting, somebody said he was addicted to Capri Sun. That has always amazed me. So he used to battle drinking Capri Sun. Instead of his children, he'll buy Capri Sun for his children, but he finished it. He said it was a bad addiction. Yes. Somebody else, Siba, you were going to say something?
Yes, I was going to say what the mommy in front said, but in my own way. I was going to say an addiction is something that your mind has made you believe that you can't do without.
Your mind, that is
a
important.
Mental thing.
It's a mental thing. Your mind tells you you can't do without it. That is an addiction. An addiction. Yes, what else? So I was saying that Coca-Cola is one, but then we have cocaine. Is there anybody here that has tasted cocaine before? Anybody? Nobody? You don't want to talk about it? Anybody ever have you? Sorry? These guys are so... Oh, all right. Anybody ever been addicted to anything in this place? Yes, man. Please, microphone. I want real people in the house this evening, because we have, if not, it's like, we can waste time. Oh. Anybody? Yes.
Yeah. I was addicted to cigarettes, and I couldn't finish a pack.
Pastor Joy. Pastor Joy was addicted to cigarettes.
Yes.
You don't look like it, though.
Okay.
So it tells me that addictions don't really show on the body.
No.
Abi? You know they show for face.
Yes. I was addicted to so many things. I came out of a broken home. My parents lived very peacefully, and all of a sudden I learned that they were separated, and there was nobody to explain to me why they separated. And so that was really very hard on me. And so when I went to basic studies, because of peer pressure, I would say, I started smoking. Yes.
Friends.
And I smoked more than the people that introduced me into that. And then I started drinking too. I was addicted to Gulder. And then I felt that was not enough for me. And then I decided to upgrade.
Wow.
And then began marijuana. And the first day I began that, something happened to me. I wasn't born again, so it wasn't like somebody preached to me. When I puffed that,
you bought it.
Puff.
Oh, yeah.
Something happened. My brain stood still. I could not remember anything. So when I came round, I heard a voice ask me, "Do you want to be mad?" So I didn't continue with that, but I continued with Rothmans. A packet is a joke. At times more than that.
It did.
Yes, until Jesus came my way.
Who has had to break any form of addiction in their life? Anybody in this place? Anybody? I remember I posted on my screen that, did I ever say on my status, did I ever say Christy was once an addict? That she was one of my brothers, you know all of them, I won't mention who, said, came to my sometimes said, she was? I said, you hear gist now. That connects on me because you hear gist. And I said, she was. But you hear the gist. She will tell you her story herself. Hers is mad. It's a different level. No get part two. No be mad. What are you saying? Somebody has to give victory. The comments coming from this corner is something else. So who has had to break addiction? An addiction. Like I told you, I had to. Mine was a love of certain movies. I liked certain movies that depicted sex. I loved it. I loved it. And so that's why anything, they know me in my house, they're like, oh no, mommy, oh no. Any semblance of it. And I think we went on a trip with my son. That's when, and it was, so that's when I told him. Ben Hannon and I were in the hotel together, and I explained to him why certain things I do and certain stands I take, because I've got to fight it. And I don't think there's anybody here that will say they are forever free, if not because of God. Only on God, but then you must do something to keep yourself free. Am I right? So who thinks they are addicted? Oh, okay. This is not getting me what I want to get. Are there any other forms of addictions? Yes, sir. Any other forms of addictions? Yes, sir. You've got to give me other forms of addictions.
You see, it's a general social life called party. I was a party animal.
Party?
Yes. I was a party animal. I could party from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Apostle Bam.
Then my dad will wake me up in the morning. I go to church as if I'm going to a party. I never go to, I wasn't going to church because I'm going to serve God. I was going to church because there was music. I was addicted to music. I was crazy. I wake up with music. I sit with music. All kinds of music. Rock, metals, Fuji, Juju.
Hey, yeah.
And and it made me a dancing freak.
Yeah.
I'm a dancer. My father taught me how to dance.
Yes, sir.
My biological father taught me how to dance. But I went. Then I go to parties. I don't care about ladies. I don't care about ladies. But I'm particular about what I wear. Yes. I can take extra clothes for party.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm fashion crazy. I'm addicted to fashion. I've suffered a lot, and one thing people don't understand.
Does it still show?
Yes. One thing people don't understand, there's something you can't take away from me. Please, I'm begging you, it's not a statement of pride. I'm crazy about my shoes.
Yes, that's for sure. Your shoes are something else.
They have abused me. I have been messed up. The first time I met my wife, the only gift I ever asked her to buy for me out of poverty is shoe. Oh, she make a mess of me, man. She made a mess of me. But today, I'm so addicted to it. But now I've turned the addiction to a good thing. Yeah. I dance for the Lord. I listen to all kinds of gospel music that is meaningful. That is meaningful.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so what are the other things? Who loves to shop? He talked about something right now. I love shoes. I love jewelry. Yeah. Don't look, okay, my shoes, okay. I didn't buy this. It was a gift from my husband. I wouldn't go and buy this. Who loves to shop? I love to shop. There are no shopping addicts here. Aha! Now more people are here. Where does it cross? Is anything wrong with shopping? Come on, Madmo, I heard you. Is that Mo? Are we collecting your ATM? What? There's nothing wrong with shopping, is it? We all need clothes. We all need shoes. If I want to tell the class of a person, I look at their shoes and their wrists and how they smell. If you smell crappy, I know you have no class. If your shoes are crappy, I know you have no class. That's me. That came out of the fact that of something I love. All right? So I love good perfume. I love good shoes. I love good jewelry. Okay? Every other thing I can wear my jeans, but those ones, no compromise. So where is the difference? We've got to be bringing this home now. How do we draw a line between what is necessary? There's nothing wrong with drinking Coke. I was in a meeting yesterday, part of the package, when I finished speaking, had a bottle of Coca-Cola in it. Of course, I didn't drink it. Somebody else took it. Yeah. Somebody else that can take the sugar. Some of us can't take the sugar. So, but Coca-Cola is not wrong. We can't give them a bad name. They made a good product. I'm not advertising them. But it's any product that has sustained itself from before I was born till now with how old I am. It's a good product. Has survived. So is something wrong with Coca-Cola? No. How do we draw a line between when something becomes an addiction and born out of necessity? Can somebody help me out? Let's start bringing this thing down. Let's start bringing it out. How? Yes, ma'am.
By giving another example of an addiction that looks so common, like drinking cold water or kankara.
Please, oh, Madam Obiageli, let's not go there. Haba. Why would you touch on cold water? If we don't drink cold water, what else would we drink now? Okay, speak. Okay, speak.
I know somebody who died recently, like less than a year ago, out of drinking kankara. Anything she puts in her mouth must be blocked.
Wow.
And many of us, because we live in the north and we believe it's good,
kankara.
Whether it's hot, let us just take it. It's very dangerous. It's a habit she couldn't break out from, and she eventually gave her life.
So how do we draw a line? The weather is hot. I mean, I'm sweating. If you give me a bottle of cold water right now, my heart will bless you. And if it has kankara chiki, it's haba. Double bless itself. You understand? So where do we draw a line between what is necessary and what can destroy and kill, like the kankara?
It's for you to decide what is good for you. It's a willpower thing.
It's a willpower thing. Anybody else help me out? Yes. Anybody else?
Okay, let me say something about this.
Your name, please?
Okay, my name is Jimmy Chris. Something about addiction, right? Something we take very common in our time is social media.
Social media.
Yeah, a lot of people are addicted to social media.
Is anybody addicted to social media? Does anybody ever believe they are addicted to social media? Is anybody going to agree that you are addicted to social media? Yeah? Please tell me. If you think you are addicted to social media, raise your hand. If you think social media is addictive, raise your hand. Okay. Thank you. All right. So please.
Yeah, and also a lot of people are addicted to their phones.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people are addicted to that. But I think everything should be done in moderate. Yeah. Modesty.
What is moderation? That is, somebody has to tell me what moderation is. Do you understand what I'm saying? I have my phone. It's my iPad. I'm using my phone now because my iPad crashed. I was saying yesterday that from 2013, since the day, the following month, Steve Jobs brought out an iPad. I've had one, and I've had another one after the other, and so on. The iPad became a third hand. When it crashed in January, for the next 2-3 weeks, I think up till now, because I'm still talking about it, I've not been able to get myself together, because that's a long time of using something. Is that an addiction? I'm asking because you talked about your phone. Yeah, because we need to say this thing so that people don't get into condemnation. People know how to get to appropriate themselves. You understand what I'm saying? Before they look at their phone and think, my phone is bad. How much time would we say something, you are involved in something and it becomes an addiction?
I believe in life there is time and place for everything. Everything should be given its time.
Have you been addicted to social media?
Not really. Even
why?
It's a little bit of a distraction for me these days, and I'm trying to work on it. Yes.
Why? How?
Yeah, because when you're on social media, you see, you get a lot of notifications. And sometimes for me, I might want to go to check something on WhatsApp, and something will pop up from Facebook.
Yes.
And I want to look at what it is and all that. So for me, there are days I don't go on social media just because I don't want to be distracted.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. I went off Facebook because of the same thing. And the worst part of it is some of us that need to check what is going on, what is being streamed online, especially in church. Something will pop up on your WhatsApp. I mean, it's the worst kind of thing. I'm like, you can't shut off the data because that's what you're using to monitor what is being sent online. And there's always a temptation to it's just a click, isn't it? Just like it's just a snot, isn't it? Just like it's just a shot, isn't it? It's just like one more time, isn't it? That's how it goes, you know, and you're not able to stop yourself. Somebody wants to say something now.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. My name is Aisha Mohammed.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you. The point at which it becomes an addiction, like social media, has happened to me. When Facebook came up and I started, you see, for myself, it was so useful. I was up to date with news, and I got to hear whatever was happening within my own community, and then, of course, international community and the national level. So I was very comfortable. And before I realized it, I was addicted. How was I addicted? I was always on Facebook. If you were talking to me, I was on Facebook. My mom is talking to me as I'm listening to her talking. I'm peeping at my phone. And I got to a point that I said to myself, now I'm getting addicted. Why am I addicted? The point of addiction is not having the power to distance myself at a point in time to do other things. Every other thing is relegates for the Facebook addiction. And I said to myself, if it is the phone, if it is the Facebook, then I will keep it. I'll go to the office, I will sit on my table. So long as there's a job, I get the job done within the twinkle of an eye so that I could go on Facebook. And I woke up one day and I said, okay, I won't do any Facebook until it's 12 noon.
Oh, wow.
And then when I take Facebook 12 noon till 2 p.m. or 1:30, I'll go for prayers. So that means I'm giving just a little window, and that was how I started controlling
the amount
addiction.
of time.
Yes, and that is what I'm saying, that the addiction and the moderation should be, it's subjective. It should be to the point at which you feel that something is giving in to this, and then there is a minus somewhere. So you try to balance the minus, and that is where the moderation should come up. Yes, thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Fantastic. Yes. Let me hear one or two more comments, and then we'll move on. Because is there anything else you've been addicted to? Who is addicted to taking pictures? Is it possible to be addicted to selfies? Selfies, Instagram? No, let's not give these things a bad name. But because you can put it anywhere. I think there are people that just make up just to take a picture. Isn't it? Yeah? Anybody? Anybody like that? Anybody addicted to food? Somebody says, now I'm talking. How can you be addicted to food? We're rounding up in the next 5 minutes. How can you be addicted to food? Yeah, please. You know, I know food. What kind of food? Pounded yam.
I'm not addicted to food. Hi, everybody. My name is Ojux. I was actually going to touch on some of different types of addictions. I'm not addicted to food, but I feel like with addictions, you know that you've gotten to a point where you need to stop. Your spirit tells you, you know, like you've had enough. You should actually be doing something. Put your phone down. But we don't listen, and then we keep going and going and going. With me, I had to question myself, like, okay, Oluwaseun, do you need to buy this right now? Why do you feel like you want to buy this? Why do you feel like you need it? And that's when I realized, okay, I think I spend when I'm sad. Because I was able to ask myself those questions, like, okay, why do you feel the need to do this right now? Do you actually need it, or is there something else fueling this desire? You know, that helped me to understand that, okay, I'm operating from a place of an addiction. So for people that are addicted to food, I don't know.
Okay, Ben Hannah, you want to say something? Yeah.
She said people that are addicted to food, and she gave me mic. I'm not addicted to food.
I don't think so, because I think I live with you.
Yeah. But sometimes
Probably you sneak about at night
I can be up at like 3 a.m.
to eat.
because that rice, you know, there's how the second round just.
And it's at 3 a.m.
At 3 a.m. Okay, what happened, Ba? Let me just draw you back small. So, I was a skinny kid, like a really skinny kid. I'm actually still skinny now. And I wanted to start gymming. So, I thought, let me start eating, like, consistently. That was something. So, I was always eating, like, even if I'm full, and I see food, I just want to, because I need to grow. I need to, you know, while I can still grow tall in the next few years. So, I mean, even after my growth is over, I think, I don't know. Like, if I just, any small feeling like that, I don't know if it's an addiction. I don't think it's an addiction, because sometimes, 10% of the time, I can say, okay, no, I'm not eating. But the other 90, if I see the food, I have to just go for it. You know?
Go for it.
That kind of.
Okay. Yes, somebody beside him wants to say something.
Hi, everyone.
Okay.
Hi, I'm David, and I'm a food addict.
Ah. Your mother's food must be sweet.
I mean, it's just sitting down and thinking about it. Why I think food is an addiction for me is I always find a reason to eat. If I get work done, I eat.
Okay.
If I don't get work done, I eat. If Liverpool wins, I eat.
You eat.
If we don't win,
I eat.
Yeah, sometimes like I can see incoming stress and I just eat. Yeah, and I think that's probably why that's an addiction. You just find a reason to eat, and there would always be a reason.
Yeah. You want to say something?
Yes. The backbone of addiction is greed.
Is greed.
The backbone of addiction is greed.
Okay.
Because you can't get addicted to something without greed. I want more. I want more. I want more. I want more.
Could it be? Can I ask you?
Yes.
Could it be that there is something on the inside that is making you want more?
Yes.
Not you.
Yes.
Not greed specifically.
Yes. Like someone like me now. Each time I'm in the US, I like to go to Nordstrom.
Oh Lord.
There's a shopping mall called Nordstrom. And there's a corner in Nordstrom. They sell unique shoes. Because I'm addicted to shoes. And I can enter the place. I don't tell my wife. She will shout. Where are you coming from? Let me see what's in your hand. What I do is when I go there, they make sales. Some sales from $4,000, $8,000 can just drop to $350. So me, I have about $2,000 in my pocket and all for shoes. It's greed. When I see this one, the red, oh my God. Ooh, this is the white. Oh my, this is the purple. Okay, when I take the red, combine with the purple, it gives me a unique look. I said, come on, let me go for it. Instead of me to buy one, I will end up buying the three. And at the end of the day, because you love it, you give yourself an excuse that is good.
All right. Thank you, sir. Please clap for him.
It's greed. Giving yourself an excuse to do something excessively is greed.
Thank you, sir. Wow, awesome. Please clap for him. He wants to say something because I don't know when we've got to bring this thing to an end. You know, I'm getting all my cues. So yes.
My name is Wisdom.
Wisdom.
I know this will look weird, but I was addicted to food.
Food.
Though I'm skinny, but I was addicted to food. Everybody around me knows I love food. They only know I love food, but I know
any kind of food.
Any.
You just, what do you mean? When you mean addiction to food, what was it? You can't stop eating?
Yes.
Or
she said, she mentioned something. She said an addiction is something that you feel you can't do without it. Even if you can't actually do without it. Or you just feel you can't do without it. Okay. Even if I'm full, I know I'm full. But somehow, if you give me food, my stomach be able to contain it.
Do you crave it? Now, let me ask, do you crave for the food? Or because he said, if you give me food, my stomach will contain it.
I crave,
so
I crave for
even
it.
though you are full,
I look for
do you
food.
suddenly crave for it? You know, you want more. Apostle Bam just said, you know, when he sees the shoe, he wants it in red, blue, in the colors of the rainbow, so that when he gets home, he will hide it. I don't know how he can hide it from
I used to. Like I said, it was an addiction. I crave for food. And even when you give me food that you think I can't finish, I have an extra just in case I'm hungry immediately. It was that bad. Like my mom can finish cooking. I used to live with my grandma in those days. She can just finish cooking at the moment. And when she steps out and come back in, the food in the pot is over. I'm sitting there with the pot and I'm like this and I'm tired. And she sees that I've just finished eating a whole pot of food and she sees me soaking curry and she's asking who ate this food. It was that bad until I had to tell myself, sometimes for a whole day I can just tell myself I don't want to eat.
You don't want
and
to
I will
eat.
not eat for that. Like I can remember like some days back, for 2 days I didn't even eat. I didn't feel it. But I didn't eat.
But you've been able to deal with it.
Yes.
Are there people that sometimes you crave chocolate? I in particular, when I'm having a bad time, I want something sweet. I don't know if there's anybody like me. I actually want chocolate specifically. That's what I want. So now I go for a cocoa drink. Okay? Ice cold with kankara in it. But I discovered when I'm not feeling good, when I'm feeling really bad, and Nigeria stresses me. So, of course, that's very often, isn't it? But I'm not addicted to chocolate. I haven't had chocolate in a long time. I went to the shop yesterday and actually looked at the chocolates. I have a particular type, fruit and nuts, very lovely. I looked at it and I said, nah, I'm not buying you. Yes. But there was a time, anytime you looked in my bag, you'll always find chocolate. And when we travel out of the country, it will be a mess because you find 5p, you know, all kinds of things, 10 cents, 25. I mean, even my mom at that time, if she travels out of the country, before the advent of DHL and everything, when she'll send by post, she'll send Bounty, Abby. That's how she won my husband's heart. She will send Bounty because she knew we loved Bounty. That was how much. But now, so we see addictions and distractions and all kinds of things. So we have not been able to define where do we draw the line from necessity. You want to say something? My husband is looking at me with funny eye. And you too, I've been looking at you since now. Son, let me take your history. This is my constituency. Jazz guys, so that they'll play well for us next time. All right, sir, please.
I'm Osami Egusa. For me, I believe addiction, when it comes to the topic of addiction, kind of like stems from the points like that there's a void, kind of void in your heart.
From a void.
Yeah.
You want to meet something.
Yeah,
It's like Siva mentioned something like that.
Yeah, like I agree with the point that addictions can be likened to habits. But when you talk about habits, there are good habits and there are bad habits. And sometimes.
Tell me. No, you can't jump away from that. You have to educate us. There are good and there are bad.
Yeah, there are good habits now, like being serious about work and all these kind of things.
Yes.
And there are also bad habits, like doing some certain things in certain ways and also to be, or like being.
When does a habit become bad?
Well.
When does a habit become
The
bad?
habit becomes bad if it's negatively affects you. Or
When it's
around you.
destructive, isn't it?
Yeah, destructive. So for me, I think addictions, like most of the time, my point towards addiction is mostly seen like when it's drug addiction. Like now, people that are drug addicts that can't do without drugs. You can use some people tell them you need Jesus, and this one, that one. But like to them, they are trying to fill a void in their hearts or a void in like because of where they are coming from, because of their environment or something like that. And for me, I personally believe it's just because of that void, that distraction that you let yourself be distracted, it now raised you out and now it became an addiction. So I just feel addiction is just a way of a bad habit amplified that like we used to kind of like
to cover up.
Yeah, kind of like
to try and fill up something.
Yeah,
an
at that
emptiness.
moment where you are doing it, you are addicted to that feeling you normally have, that stress maybe you are normally under.
That stress.
Just at that moment.
That feeling of depression, that anxiety.
Yeah, you feel it might be that.
That
void,
expectation.
Yeah, that void might be filled at that point. So you find yourself coming back to it over and over.
Thank you so much. Please appreciate him. Our last comment is coming from Bidemi. Yes. Oh boy. Yeah.
Talking about food, I used to have a kind of momentary addiction. You know, like something, I just love to eat something. Maybe like 2 years ago, somebody introduced me to Nkwobi for the first time. So I ate it, went to the Kuguma to buy it then. So almost every day I would drive from Life Camp to Kuguma to go and buy Nkwobi. So one day I decided to buy as many as possible so that I won't go the following day. So when I got home, I told myself I'm just going to have only 2 plates. But I finished everything. From that day, I never had Nkwobi again. I just lost the taste. So at times I used to have this momentary stuff towards some particular food. But what I do is that once I eat it to the fullest,
that's it.
Interest, I will not be.
So you've never been addicted beyond
that? Once I take it to the fullest, I'm done. I'll just lose interest.
Okay. Wow. Please appreciate Bitemi. Okay, one last comment and that's it. Yes.
Yes, ma. Based on what he said, can you be addicted to something good? And can you be addicted, because he's talking about something.
Sex is good.
So.
Is sex bad? How do you know? Yeah, okay, that would be bad too. Too bad. That would be too bad. Sex is good. So can you be addicted to sex? These are questions we have able people to answer. We're not going to go into it. But somebody is here. I welcomed everybody else. I didn't welcome my husband. Welcome, honey. While we were talking, somebody so dear to me, Hajia Nana Shimea Abdullahi, walked into this place. You're not clapping for her. I have good friends. You know, when you show the quality of friends you have, it shows the kind of people or the kind of person you are. I've known her for how many decades now? Her husband and my husband were friends in university. So the friendship went far. I remember I used to hold, I was the party organizer for her children when they were small. They are young men now, all over the world. Young adults. But I used to organize the birthday parties for them. The things, you know. But she's a wonderful woman, and she is the CEO of Serenity Royal Hospital, which is the rehab center here in Abuja for addictions. She's here with her wonderful friend that told us about. Oh, she's your partner, you see? When birds of a feather must flock together. That's the power of agreement. Can two work together unless they be agreed? And we have agreed in this place that there is a serious situation in this country. We are still grazing the surface. We actually didn't break it down as much as we should in this place tonight. But there's somebody that is going to take us further into that. And you mustn't miss, because she's here with slides, she has a rehab center, like I said. It's 4 stories have been there. There are people brought in from all over the world into her rehab center. That's Christy Baturi Ogbefo. You mustn't miss her section, which will come up later. But in the time being, we need to take a 5-minute goodwill message from Hajia. My husband signaled to me. He said 2 minutes. a goodwill message from Haji Nana. Let her say something to us.
Good afternoon, all.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Nana Abubakar. I'm a psychologist, and I'm so happy to be here. I was so happy when I saw it on our status, and I had to reach out to my partners, NDLA, and my friends to tell them about it. Unfortunately, most of them their kids are doing their matric today at the base university. They can't be here. But my chairman sent his representative, Barrister Aisha, to come and represent him. I'm so happy. Drug addiction is an epidemic, and we all know that. And in every home, at least, we have one or two. It's even worse in the north. And well, I told my friends, we have a group of northern women. At the point, we thought it was like a silent war, but I think it's global. It's not just in the north anymore. Recently in the south, yet the Christian it's terrible. I have some videos, and we had some conference and seminars regarding that. It's unfortunate, but I'm so happy. I mean, we need to talk more. We need to all come together and fight it. Otherwise, it will happen to every other person. So I'm glad we're starting this now. I think we'll partner together and then work as a team. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Is here. She's representing the NDLE, LEA. You know, they are the ones in the forefront of fighting the couriers of all those drugs in our nation. And she will bring us a goodwill message from the organization. Please appreciate Haji Aisha.
Good evening, all. I bring the warm regards of our chairman of NDLA, General Marwa, retired. I am here representing War Against Drug Abuse Committee. We have an organization. We are very happy that finally we are starting to grace the surface. The chairman is very passionate about this scourge. Is phenomenal, and he accepts it, and we've started doing some things, even though we are grazing, but at least we are no more stagnant, we are moving. He went further, trying to think outside the box, and set up a little committee, special purpose committee of the chairman of the NDLA. This little committee is an encomium of different experts in the sector from all over the world. I made a small group so that whatever is happening in the civil service or whatever in the regimental way, then he wants to, this set of people to bring what they think outside the box so that he can put them together to get results. It is out of this group that we formed the War Against Drug Abuse. This little group committee is trying to speak about ambassadors, getting ambassadors everywhere. We want each and every Nigerian to reach the point of being an ambassador. Everyone should know that it starts from me. We know that it happens to us, individuals, our families, our friends, and which better way to get it except for people to get the buy-in. And the buy-in is what we are fighting for. I'm happy that I'm standing before you as a WADA ambassador, and I call on everyone to continue to be an ambassador. I'm very happy particularly that I'm here to be with my sister, Senior Christy. She is a special person in my life. You know, some people are very lucky to have sisters that stand as mothers. I will tell you that I haven't seen her from when she graduated for years. That is not today. But the first day I saw her, she was still jumping. I said, Senior Christy, are you still jumping and dancing? She said, yes, Aisha, I won't grow old. And I also won't stop taking care of you. And I tell you, she has supported me. She's supporting me. She still supports me till tomorrow. Thank you, my sister. I love you. And thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Haji Aisha, Barrister Aisha, representing the NDLEA. Do we have a representative from CBN Club? They've partnered with us. They have a 700. Yes. Please, Siba can bring the goodwill message.
Good afternoon, everyone. So 700 Club is a club in Nigeria that, it's an international organization, CBN Africa, but we also have a branch here in Nigeria, and what we do is we help the needy. I don't know if anybody has heard of 700 Club. We help the needy, widows, and all of that, but one very key part of 700 Club is that we have a 24/7 prayer and counseling line. So we have trained counselors, psychologists there, and if you know anybody that needs to talk to someone anonymously, that's the best thing. So I'm going to hand over the lines and then we'll put them up. And I bring you greetings from our regional director. He would have loved to be here, but he wasn't able to. I told him I'll be here, so he told me to stand in his place. So I just want to say thank you for inviting us for this evening. Thank you for bringing us to be part of this, because this is such a fantastic event, and I feel like more people need to hear about this. And one of the things we talked about, I and Dr. Felix, he said it would be good to take this to like a university where we can have, more students and young people there. So yeah, we'll be willing to, partner media-wise. Okay, because we also have like a media organization, put programs up and all of that. So we'll be willing to help with coverage and all of that. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much. I don't know if representatives of Bayes University are here. We had, this was supposed to take part in March of 2020. I think it was 2 days before the occasion. That's when we went into Corona lockdown. And so 2 years after, it is happening. And even though we're doing this, I know it's been viewed online. And we also invited the students, representation from the Veritas University. And definitely, this is just the beginning. We're taking it to where it matters. You will be free. If you are an addict somewhere, you will be free. You'll get hope. You'll be free of that depression. Whatever it is that is making you go into that substance abuse, you'll find your liberty today. Amen. So please put your hands together as we welcome Bidemi Treasure.
I think you can do a lot better. For Bidemi Treasure and Tigris. Come on, let's appreciate them a little bit more. Thank you so much for your partnership through the years. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It wouldn't be bad for you to just sit on that keyboard for a while. Okay. I just want to take a little time. I want to welcome everyone to this meeting. I think I was about 10 years old when I first saw the effect of drugs on people, and it was marijuana. And they were stoned out and lying on the ground, almost 8 or 9 men, young men, and they were completely stoned out. I cannot wipe out the image of how useless they looked. A few were in the gutter. I grew up in Kaduna, and so this was around our house, and I couldn't believe it, how people I thought I respected were just lying down with glazed eyes. Today I can express it, but for a 10-year-old boy, I couldn't just relate to that horror. And the more I grew up, the more I saw a whole lot of things as I grew up. In 2006, Reverend Christy Bature, she put together a meeting and invited some of us to speak, including Fela Durutue, Onyeka, and other people at the Civic Center. The place was packed full. And what surprised me was that these were young leaders, business leaders, religious leaders, and community leaders. And it was shocking to find that probably 70 to 80% were addicted to one thing or the other. And I tried to find out why. And every one of them said, because we have no hope. The country doesn't love us. Our community doesn't love us. Our political leaders, they hate us. Some of us have stayed after university for 3 years without a job. So what can we do? We feel so useless. There is no hope for us anymore. So their indulgence was in different things. Some were involved with drugs because the pain inside was too much. So they had to forget. Some went into sex and pornography. Some went into cultism because life didn't make sense. It will be incomplete for us to just come up here and say drugs are bad, substance abuse is bad, without understanding why people are caught in this. And this is why we are here. We are going more than just saying, oh, this is a bad habit. They know. Everybody involved in an addiction understands that what I'm doing is not right. But most of them are helpless. They just don't know how to stop because they can't stop the pain. With all the definitions that we have, we will still have to come back to why. Because if people don't know why, they can't stop it. This is the first of 4 steps and protocols that breaking addictions and distraction is about. And I believe that when Christy Bature comes up, she's going to talk about that. But today we're just going to do with the first of these protocols, which I call realization. That's acknowledgement, acceptance, realization, resolution, and taking of responsibility for the addiction. Because the one thing about addicts is most don't take responsibility. Something made me do it. There is somebody that caused me the pain. Somebody I loved, somebody I respected. Leaders I thought were here to help me. The second aspect is reposition. When you have to decide, when you have to define an objective and refine your plan to engage accountability relationships, but that is in the realm of choice. I'm not going into that today. The third step and the third protocol is to restructure, to abandon status quo and to dismantle the structure that brought us or brought you to where you are. And then finally, recovery and restoration. But tonight we want to start with the very first one, which is realization. Let me just say a few words before I hand over to Christy. Success in life begins with deliberateness, to envision, to plan, to organize, and to structure. Then actions to pursue with focus and passion to obtain desired results. Distraction is a loss of focus and reduces momentum for anything. Deeper distractions become obsessions with an object of desire. Extreme obsession becomes addiction when the subject loses control of positive, productive pursuit. We are all susceptible to distractions, to things that gain our attention or desires. How we discipline and structure our thoughts, our acts and habits go a long way in affecting and determining how productive we become. Distractions or loss of focus may arise out of many different factors of thoughts, circumstances, events, or interfaces intersecting with our paths. Breaking addiction and distraction is an initiative and offensive by the Strong House Abuja to help break or combat addictions or distractions, to stay on track and blaze the trail of success, deploying spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical power. The Strong House seeks to partner with interested organizations and individuals to reach out to people struggling with different challenges of addictions and distractions, to bring recovery, restoration, wholeness, and success into lives. Because together we could get help or help somebody. The prodigal son in the remarkable parable taught in the Bible by Jesus Christ slipped through various levels of decadent, wasteful, and unsustainable living, eventually and consequently to sub-zero and subhuman levels. Stuck in a quagmire and struggling among pigs for survival, he finally came to himself. Self-realization, not only of his pathetic condition, but the truth as to the process of why and how he got there, and also of what he had to do. He spoke some home truths to himself, about himself, his condition, his priorities, and his options. While in that hellhole, he asked himself questions and also gave himself some honest answers. He faced reality without denial. Beyond the intellectual process of thought and words, he knew that he, not anyone else, needed to rise and leave where he was. Nothing else was more important. No excuse was tenable to keep him in that sorry state. Not injury, not hunger, not weakness, not lack, not loss, not mockery, not flattery, not comments or external actions or reactions from people, systems, or events. The text says, but when he came to himself, he said, I will arise. His mind made up on just one singular priority. He simply got up and left where he was to anywhere but here, in the general direction of home. He knew that confession or admission of wrong, being sorry and acceptance of fault was not enough. Much more was needed to get home. The choice was his alone. He did not send for dad or brother or mother to come and fetch him. He knew his choices alone got him here, crazy as they were. His choices alone would determine his future, his days, his months, his years. He had to stop playing to the gallery and walk this thing out, away from the crowd that laughed, mocked, leered, or cheered. It was his fight, his call. He had to abandon, leave, or dismantle the structure that resulted in and fed his failure. Take a different direction, build a different approach, deploy a different structure to redefine his future. He moved on and moved forward, getting whatever help he could to the objective of a better future. He put the squandermania of madness, of riotous and self-indulgent living behind him, of drugs, of blames, drugs of self-pity, of self-deceit and denial. The details of the fights, the assists, the misses, the struggles, the setbacks or time and distance of journey were not given. Just a story of the point of self-realization, of singular resolve, rising to depart from a mess, redefinition of goals and an objective, a complete restructure of operations, a relocation for repositioning, and a return to sanity, to truth, to discipline, to security, to restoration, to honor, to dignity. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Christy Baturi Ogwefu.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Thank you. Good to see all of you. This is one area of my life that brings me so much fulfillment. Working with people who have lost hope and watching them regain hope in a short period of time. One of the lacks in our country is the recognition of emotional and mental pain. In Africa, our attitude is, I think it don't happen, it don't pass, forget. The physical structure around us may seem like everything is forgotten, but the mind doesn't forget. The soul doesn't forget. When a person has a headache, they take Panadol. If they have stomach ache, they take maybe Gelusil, Gestid. If you sprain a muscle, you take something called deep heat or something and you rub. That's a physical body in pain. But when the soul is in pain, it also needs medication. And somehow life, if you are a faith person, if you're a spiritual person, we will talk about the devil. He's always there to present every option but the one you need. And that's where the addictions come in. Every addiction is a cover for fear or pain. Just those two things, or a combination of both. So I was very happy to hear Ajia say she's a psychologist. These are the gaps in our society that we really need. Clinical psychologists, counselors, social workers. We have heavy deficiency in those areas. But to start off tonight, I want you to watch a very short video. Very short. I think it's 2 minutes long. And you'll understand something by watching that. I hope our projector will cooperate. Yes. Victory is in charge. If you're sitting over there and you can't see, you can move this way, finish watching and go back. Okay. There we go. All right. There's really no volume, my brother, but just get it to play and then. It has started in the middle. And why is it breaking? It's vexing. Okay. Can it start from the beginning? This is middle. It's not moving. Okay, if it won't play, we'll do without it. But it's just a very concise or precise capturing of the process of addiction. And it makes a lot of sense. That's why I wanted us to see it, but it looks like it's vexing. Okay. You can leave it. It's okay, we'll do without it. Let's see if the other slides will show. Addiction is a cover for fear or pain, and unfortunately, there's so many of us caught in it. Earlier on during the interactive session, we were hearing all kinds of things coming up. I'm addicted to food. I'm addicted to Coke. I'm addicted to this and that. We always want to probe why the addiction developed in the first place. And when Pastor Polly was talking, he said that there's so much pain inside. And I said, you just hit the nail on the head. Addiction is a cover for fear or pain. So how do you know you are addicted? I think that's very important, because once you mention addiction, people begin to think of the extremes of men falling in the gutter, or somebody going crazy and the hair becoming dreadlocked. So I want you to begin to measure yourself. How do you know you are addicted? There's 7 pointers for you to know. Number 1 is broken promises. You make a promise about a particular behavior. I'm not going to do this again. You promise your husband, promise your wife, promise your God, promise your dog. I'm not going to do this again. And you do it again. That is an indicator of addiction. Number 2, entitlement. When you feel entitled to a particular behavior, is probably an addiction. I give you an example of entitlement. Some man was faithful to his wife for 25 years and he committed adultery once. And he was caught. And his attitude was, I've been faithful for 25 years. Is it too bad that it's just only once? It's an entitlement he has, meaning that the 25 years of faithfulness were not done because he wanted to be faithful. It's because there was no opportunity. All right. Number 3, how to know if you are addicted is failed attempts to change. You have attempted to change 1 week, you succeeded, then after a week you were back. You succeeded for 2 months and then you were back. When there are failed attempts to change about any behavior, it's probably an addiction. If you've had negative consequences, that's another thing. Negative consequences for that behavior. For example, if you love speed, you just enter your car because your car has speedometer of 220 kilometers per hour. Press your leg on the accelerator and just keep going. Road safety will stop you. That place you are rushing to, road safety will help you very well not to get there. They will stop you, they will take your particulars, they will tell you come to our office to pay, and then you are in trouble. That's a negative consequence. Or you have a terrible accident and you break every bone in your body. It's a negative consequence. And that's the consequence of speed. Then again, you may be under the influence of alcohol, and then you have that accident, and then every day of your life you live the rest of it in regret. I wish I wasn't speeding that day. I wish I listened when they said I had had enough. I wish I allowed my friend to drive me home. And then the problem is looking at you. So how many have I given you now? What's the first one? 2, 3, 4. Number 5 is lost opportunities, lost relationships, and lost finances. If you've lost any relationship because of a particular behavior, if you've lost money, if you've lost an opportunity. A man went for an interview and he was going for a 6-figure job. The panel that was interviewing was sitting up here, for example. What the interviewees didn't know was that the owner of the company was sitting in a corner. While they were testing them on aptitude and capacities, he was watching their body language and carriage. And there was a particular man the owner of the company zeroed in on and said, I'll probably give the job to this man. And incidentally, he performed best in the aptitude test. The last test they had was to go to the dining hall to eat. And everybody had been told to come with their own money to buy their food. And the setup is like maybe Mama Cass, where you have the display and then you go from one end taking whatever you want. When you get to the end, you pay. They were on the queue and the owner was seated again in a corner watching. And this man took everything he wanted. And then he got to those tiny tubs of butter. Do you know those small tubs of butter that you use once and they're finished? He got to that one and he used style to look around and felt nobody is watching. And he took one and put it in his pocket. Then he went to the end of the display and paid for everything except that. And that's how he lost the 6-figure job for a 10 kobo tub of butter. Because the owner said, if you can thief butter, go thief big thing. Do you think that was the first day that man was doing such a thing? No, it caught up with him. He lost that opportunity because of a habit he had formed. I just saw a funny joke somebody put up. One person wrote, thank God I am an atheist. And somebody replied, thank who? How can you say you're an atheist and you say, thank God I'm an atheist? The person said, thank who? That was the response. So except you tell me you're an atheist, everyone prays. In our most desperate moments, prayer is not long sentences. It's probably just one word. It's sometimes a sigh. But when you have an addiction, every time you open your mouth to try to pray, something tells you, what right have you to pray? Shut up. Shut up. How many of you feel comfortable when you have done wrong to your parents and you feel comfortable like usual to just bounce into their presence and ask for anything? Tell me. Show me your hand. You'll be hiding. You are afraid to show up because they may remember what you did. Like my mother. My mother could stockpile offenses. That is, you have done it and you think you've gone away. She'll keep quiet 2 days. Because if she tries to run after you, you outrun her. So she sits down and waits for you to forget 2 days. Then you now jollificationally enter the presence of your cowboy mother. My mother will just grab you. Do you remember what you did 4 days ago? You say, well, yo, the thing has caught up with me. So when there is addiction, your prayer is ineffective. And then finally, your heart knows. You can deceive everybody else, but you can't deceive yourself. One of the young people that was talking said, our hearts tell us something is wrong, but we don't listen. We just keep going. What was my addiction? I had two. One of them was alcohol. I stopped drinking when I was 10. Yeah. So the question is, when did you start? I started when I was 2. And that's how young you were or how old you got before my father began to give you to drink. My dad gave us to drink. And incidentally, I come from a family of 10, my dad, my mom, and 8 children. And growing up, we were 10. Today, the family of 10 has shrunk to a family of 2. And out of the 8 that I have buried, only 2 died natural deaths. My baby sister died at the age of 9. She was ill. My mom died at the age of 80, but she died from a broken heart because they were burying her children in her lifetime. I think she buried 8 before she died. Now, I tell people that we're a family of 10 because the first 2 children, I never met them. They were dead before we were born. And those ones, we generally don't count them. That's why I say my mom had 8 children, but she actually had 10. So those 2 were buried before we were born. And then we all grew up, and one by one they began to die. So out of the 8, 2 died natural deaths. The other 6 died from addiction. My dad died from addiction. My oldest brother died from addiction. 5 of my sisters, 4 died from addiction. So I've lived with it all my life. I think this is one of the paradoxes of God, that your place of greatest pain can become your place of deepest passion. Because I've lived with it all my life and I understand the processes of it, it has become like a crusade for me to come against this thing. Because when my family was dying, we didn't know it had a name and we didn't know anything could be done about it. All we knew was the shame, the anguish, the pain, the anger, outrage, the judgments and the condemnations. And now understanding about addictions, I don't want to live my life in regret, but I wish I knew some of the things I know now. Some of them will probably be alive. My oldest brother died. He was the last to die in 2018. He died in my rehab center. He picked up his bags and came and he said, look, I think I'm ready now for you to help me. But the drugs had already eaten too deep. He died. He was in the rehab for a month and then he started getting all kinds of complications till he became paralyzed and then he died. And in dying, they all left me with their children. There's 16 of them. There's not a father or mother anywhere else. I am the mother and the father. Now, these are some of the ramified implications of drug use, which is why we say, instead of starting at all, no go. Now, a lot of the young people these days have a defense. They say to me, but I have seen Uncle Joe He's been using it for 25 years. Nothing happened to him. Well, there is something called the addictive personality. Unfortunately, there's no thermometer or barometer or sphygmometer that we can use to measure who has the personality and who doesn't. The only time we know you have it is when a problem has developed. But by then it's too late, you're already inside. So the best counsel is don't go there. The first day I smoked was also the last day I smoked. So I was about 9 years old. And we have been seen on TV. They will hold cigarette like this and hold a glass of something here. And then they'll go with so much glamour. And then they'll take a sip. So we wanted to do also. My sister and I found a half-smoked cigarette. Only God saved us from hepatitis. We don't know who smoked that thing and threw it away. But we took it, and we took my mother's matches, and we went under the staircase in our block of flats. I'm the older one now, so I started first. And I did exactly like I saw on the TV. I coughed till I fell down. I couldn't breathe. My sister said, while you are coughing, let me try my own at least. She took. She did. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. And my sister could not stop smoking from that day until she died from complications related to smoking at the age of 44. She smoked from age 7 to 44 and died from smoking. So she had the addictive personality, obviously, and we didn't know. We had no way of knowing. Alcohol was the main thing that ate up my family. My dad will give you to drink from age 2. And the stupid reason was, let me see how you behave when you are drunk. How does that affect the price of Gary in the market? So we were sabotaged before we had a chance. By the time some of my siblings were 12, 14, they were full-blown alcoholics. I didn't like beer. I don't like the color, I don't like the smell. I didn't like burkutu. I think I was just an expensive drinker. I only drank brandy and whiskey, see? Very posh drinker. By the time I was 10, I would drink a whole cup. Do you know that cup they call Who Send You Come? I'll fill it up with whiskey and gulp it like 4 times. Get up and walk away, clear-eyed. Age 10. If I drank more than that, it would turn my eye. But below that, you know, they turn. One day I drank like that and I went to church. Christmas Eve, I can't forget. Nobody knew I had quaffed one Who Send You Come of White Horse whiskey. Somebody will say, how can you pour Who Send You Come? The bottle will finish. That's because your father used to buy the 1-liter bottle. My father bought the gallon that has handle. So if you pour one Who Send You Come, they won't even notice anything left the bottle. So my father didn't buy his drinks in small quantities. They were gallon. My sisters had gone to church and told pastor that we have special song to sing on Christmas Eve. So we got to church and they called all of us. We filed out, Bature daughters. Stood according to age. 4 of us at that time. The smallest one was too small. We sang the song. Go, I didn't make mistake. They made mistake. That is, you know how Indian smokers say, when I smoke, it gives me inspiration. Yes, the thing inspired me well. I don't make mistake. But the problem came after we finished the song. Everybody went back to their seat and they told me I stood there. Now, I have no memory of that. That's how drunk I was. I have no memory. So they said I stood there and everybody went back to their seat. And in my family, I'm the last child at that time to stand alone in front of people. I was a very quiet child. Not by nature, but by constraint. Because they used to laugh at my voice. It was too big. So I was quiet. I used to hide. I stood there. So my sisters were saying, Mama, did she tell you she's doing anything? No. They turned to my dad. Did she say anything? No. What is she doing there? Everybody in the church went quiet. They were looking at this child standing. And then they said I quoted one scripture. And then I waited for everybody to open their Bible. It's not like now you have iPad and phone. It's paper Bible. So people opened their Bible and they were waiting. They said she must have a long recitation. They said what I said was one sentence and it does not exist in the Bible. Everybody started laughing. They said, oh, this little child, she forgot her memory verse. No, I was drunk. Next day, they told me what I had done. And this is the mercy of God to me. a thought came to me and said, if I can drink and go to the house of God and misbehave, then drinking cannot be good. They didn't know, but that was the last day I drank. And that was the mercy of God to me. Because otherwise, I shouldn't be here. I should have died like all of them. But I'm still here. And we're raising our voices against this thing called addiction. I've given you the pointers to addiction. Let me quickly give you the doorways to addiction. The first doorway is not in psychology books. Hajia would testify. But in working with addicts and being a student of the Bible, I see something in Romans chapter 1 verse 21. Because they knew him as God, but will not honor him as God, neither were thankful. The moment ingratitude entered the picture, the Bible says they became vain in their imaginations, and ultimately God gave them up. If you read Romans chapter 1, you know it's talking about addiction. But the full definition for addiction is in Romans chapter 7, when Paul is saying, what I want to do, I don't do. It's the one I don't want to do that I do. He says something has gone wrong deep within me, and that is addiction. You form a habit. This is my definition. You form a habit, and the habit turns around and it forms you. That's how I define addiction. Because if you go to the village and you say, I'm looking for James, they'll say, which James? James now, James the son of Okoro. They say, James the son of Okoro. Oh, you mean the village drunk? He has a name. But the habit he formed has given him another name. It's his identity now. You mean that chain smoker? He has a name, but the addiction has given him another name. So ingratitude is a big doorway. It's an ungrateful heart that wants to live life without boundaries. You operate within a community, but you do not want to be governed by the norms that guard and guide the society. You want to live life without boundaries and without limits. Only animals live like that. Only animals live without boundaries. Have you not seen elders in village meeting? Then two goats will pursue themselves inside the elders meeting. And these are elders that human beings are afraid to enter where they are. Two lizards will make elders jump on their chairs. They are pursuing. These are animals. There are no boundaries with animals. But we are human, and we're governed by certain mores. I think they call them mores of society, M-O-R-E-S. So, ingratitude makes us live without limits. It's an ungrateful heart that says to his wife, I know we need to pay school fees, but man, I've got to have this cocaine. Then he takes the money for the school fees and he blows it on cocaine. Then he comes back and is looking at the wife and the children. The options are gone in one puff or two. So ingratitude is one of the biggest doorways through which addictions come. We're not satisfied. That's what he was talking about when he said greed. Greed. Why do you want 25 shoes on the shelf? If you can afford it, fine. But the problem comes when you can't, and you also can't say no. It's greed. The second doorway to addiction is the addictive society we live in. Society attempts to shape our thinking. It attempts to change what the boundary lines are. And the Bible says, do not shift the ancient landmarks. Because when you do that, the lines become blurry. They're no longer sharp and clear. What does that mean? When I was a child, if they were advertising toothpaste, you saw human teeth. In fact, when I was a child, the person that advertised McLean's was a man. Do you remember that advert? It was a fine guy. He's a Rivers guy. No, those of you that are under 40, you don't know what I'm talking about. Because that advert is like 40 years old. But it was a guy, he's from Rivers State. His name is Mr. Singer. I know him. He was the face of McLean's toothpaste. Now they're advertising toothpaste and you see a woman's breast. So I'm wondering, are you going to put the toothpaste on the toothbrush and brush the breast? Why are you showing me the breast? They're advertising a power bike that men ride. They're not going to show me a man with big muscles holding the bike. They're going to show me a girl wearing bomb shorts, bending over. When I was a child, women made women's clothes and they covered them up decently. Today, the highest paid designers for women's clothes are men. And every year on the runways in New York, in Paris, in Lagos, in Dubai, they're stripping them more and more naked in the name of fashion. And our daughters are seeing it and saying, well, this is the standard, so I will follow. Society attempts to shape our thinking. And they accept it as normal. My first daughter used to model clothes when she was in school. You know, our children always say what we give them is not enough. So she would model clothes, and one day she called me. She was in the US. She said, Mommy, we had one fashion show today and they brought one dress. They told me that when they were designing the dress, it was my body they had in mind. I'm the one that will model it. She said, Mommy, I looked at the dress and I said, I will not wear this dress. They said, why? She said, if I wear this dress, my mother will kill me. He said, but you sound like an African. Where's your mother? She said, my mother is in Nigeria. Who is going to tell your mother that you wore such a dress? She said, you people don't know my mother. If I wear this dress, she will see me in the dream this night. Tomorrow, she will show up in this America and beat the crap out of me. I cannot wear this dress, so if my work will end with you people, make it end. She said, Mommy, they found somebody else to wear the dress. I said, but why didn't you wear the dress? She said, Mommy, it was not a dress. It was net. Just net. Not even mosquito net, because mosquito net has small hole. This one is like wire fence. And then they put small patch to cover the nipple, small patch to cover the crotch, and a little strip to cover the back. The rest of it was open. Now my daughter ended that call and I knelt down to thank God. Che, Father, thank you. My voice is loud from Nigeria. If you wear that dress, you will die. One of the ways to begin to fight this thing is to have parents who know enough to begin to teach early. All of last year, sir, our community social responsibility for the year was going to primary schools with drug campaign. All of last year, we went to primary schools. It will shock you to know that there are children in primary schools who are already using drugs. We saw them. When we went with the campaign, we could see the looks of regret on their faces, like, I've already killed myself. So you know how we teach them? We tell them, anybody you see using drugs, just sing this song for them. This life you don't kill yourself, oh. You don't kill yourself, oh. They say, nice song. We say, but if the person is bigger than you, don't sing, oh. They can beat you. But the children took it. And we went to the slum areas, the poor areas, because addiction does not respect status. In fact, it's worse in the poor areas because they invent cheaper options of the drugs to use. And those ones are more destructive. For example, solution. That's what they use to glue bicycle tire. And they sniff it. They have soak away. They go to the soak away in the toilet or the pit toilet. And they lie down there and inhale the fumes that come from the toilet. And it gives a high. Mothers, if you notice now that your Maggi is finishing faster than usual, check. They are dropping Maggi cubes inside Lacacera, and the chemical reaction between the two is giving such high that cocaine cannot beat. Please check your Maggi cube, mom, if you have young people at home. You see them carrying bottles of Coke and Fanta and Lacacera, and parents will be rejoicing, oh, thank God my child does not drink alcohol. Hey, waiting there that bottle pass alcohol power. They are putting Tom-Tom inside Maggi. And the chemical, so if you test that child for drug use, it would come out negative. Why? Maggi is not a drug by that definition. Lacacera is not a drug. But how they find these combinations, I don't know. The latest one now is very cheap. In fact, it's not even cheap, it's free. All they need to do is eat your food as their mom. Drink water. Then they'll find glass bottles. And they will wee inside the bottle and cork the bottle for 10 days. Hide it in their wardrobe or under their bed. When they open those bottles after 10 days, what's coming out is, the euphoria is more than heroin and crack put together. That's what is happening with our young people. So, ingratitude will bring them there. Society will bring them there. Most of the children they bring to our rehab started using because of peer pressure. They wanted to belong. Where is Siba? Siba says, I needed to be accepted. So what do? We must begin to raise young people with resilient spirits. People who are able to stand alone no matter how unpopular, as long as they know it's the truth. We have to take the time to start building tough people. I hear that the king of, is it king of Dubai? I don't know, is he a king? or what do they call them, sheikh? The guy that rules the Sultan of Dubai, whoever he's called. He said, my dad rode a camel. I drive maybe a Ferrari. My son is driving whatever. He said, but my grandson will ride a camel again. And they said, why? He said, because with each progressive generation, we're getting weaker. Because the mindset is, oh, what I suffered, let my children not suffer. And with that at the back of our minds, we don't put our children through the rigorous training they need emotionally and mentally to become resilient. So once there's a little pressure, I'm hearing 16, 14, 13-year-olds now committing suicide because there is no resilience in their spirit to stand and deal with life. We have to teach our young people how to deal with life in less destructive terms than they are doing, because every addiction, like I said, is a cover for what? Fear or pain. It means that everyone who is addicted is attempting to cope with life in destructive ways. So we've got to give the options that are there for coping with life in non-destructive ways, because life will always happen. The people in Ukraine were sleeping one day, the next morning they were running for their lives. It wasn't planned. It wasn't envisaged. As at the beginning of the year, nobody could have imagined that 3 million Ukrainians would have run away now. Our babies are in Ukraine. They went to school. They didn't plan for war to trap them in a nation that they can. I've been trapped by war in another nation, people. It's not funny. We went to Central African Republic to do missionary work. Carry clothes, carry this to go and give people. Then they overthrew the government and nobody could leave Central African Republic. Hey, look at us, strangers. You know what United Nations did? They came there and picked the Americans. Because there were women from America, there were women from 9 nations. They picked the Americans and left the rest of us from Africa. Made them kill us. We were in one house. Everybody had to leave everywhere they were staying. We all congregated in one house. Oh, the terror is not something you can describe. In the end, when they finally allowed a plane to land to pick us, we were running through the bush with our suitcases on our heads. This is just about 7 years ago, 6 years ago, when Central African Republic was destabilized by a coup. So the society is part of our problem. The society calls bad good and good bad. In my father's time, when a man collected a bribe, people shunned him. Now we hail them because they have money. If they can just give us money, they're okay. So society is part of the problem. Number 3 is trauma, personal trauma. Trauma is any painful event that you experience that disturbs you so bad that you need to find a coping mechanism. Trauma is the soul in pain. So when a soul is in pain, is a time to watch a person really closely. What is trauma? Grief is trauma. The loss of a loved one is trauma. Accident and breaking a bone and I have many pentazocine addicts who didn't start because they wanted to become addicts, but they had a legitimate pain. Sickle cell patients are having to deal with excruciating chronic pain. In an attempt to deal with it, they end up addicted. That's trauma. Rape is trauma. To experience war is trauma. I'm worried about the children growing up in northeast Nigeria. From age 14 downwards, they've never known a normal life. All they've known is war and turmoil and terror. That is heavy breeding ground for addiction right now. Trauma is loss, failure, divorce, separation. The lady that was speaking earlier, she said, my parents were very close and suddenly they broke up and nobody could explain to me why they would break up. That's a pain in the soul and it will need medication. All right? So, that's the 3rd doorway. The 4th doorway is family dysfunction. Of course, that's another example right there. Family dysfunction. The family is the primary place where children draw their sense of self, where we find our sense of belonging and community. So when that unit is destabilized, we are destabilized. We are messed up. All right? And family dysfunction, I don't really have much time, but I will underscore it with the story of Abraham, because both the Muslims and the Christians know Abraham, and they know he had 2 sons. And the Bible records that one son was sent away in the first generation. His name was Ishmael. And then the second generation came by, and here is Isaac with his 2 children, Esau and Jacob. Second generation, 1 son sent away. Third generation, Jacob has 12 sons, the sons of Jacob. And in the third generation, 1 son sent away. This is what the Bible calls generational patterns or generational curses. Things happening within a family that most people in the family don't even know about, but they are subject to. It's called iniquity. It is the bent towards a particular behavior that already exists in a lineage. So Joseph didn't do anything wrong, but he was subjected to that thing that was already in the lineage. In Ezekiel chapter 18 verse 2, the Bible says, what is this proverb that I hear you say in Israel? That the fathers have eaten sour grape, but the children's teeth are set on edge. It's the fathers who have done wrong, but the children are paying for it because somebody has not taken the time to stop it from happening. Some of these things have spiritual connotations. Addiction is 2 sides of a coin. On one side is a learned behavior. Nobody becomes an addict overnight. It is by reason of use. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, who by reason of use have their senses exercised. That's a double-edged sword right there. If you exercise your senses for good, you become an expert at good. If you exercise the senses for evil, guess what? You become a bonko for bad thing. Do you understand? So, nobody becomes an addict overnight. It takes time. It takes repetition. It takes going over and over and over again, and then the brain takes it up as a message. Now, when they were talking during the interactive session, somebody said to break an addiction, you need willpower. No, willpower is not enough. Because willpower is gritting of your teeth. It's like doing everything by fire, by force. Willpower will not be enough. If it was enough, we will not have any addict. Like you were speaking, they know that they have a problem. So this is not a matter of willpower. Once it crosses into addiction, it's a disease. You don't say to the diabetic, why do you have diabetes? What is wrong with you? Why should you be bringing yourself to the place where you are taking insulin? No, you don't say to the hypertensive patient, why should you allow your blood pressure to go up? Something has broken in the body. For the hypertensive patient, the capacity of the body to regulate blood pressure is gone. It's broken. So they need medications to help them. For the diabetic, the body's capacity to regulate blood sugar is gone. So they need insulin. For the HIV patient, the body's capacity to fight diseases, the immunity of the body is broken. So they take antiretroviral drugs to help. Addiction is a disease of the brain. It is characterized by chronic relapse. It is a part and parcel. When Pastor Paulie was speaking, he said, we can't just come here and say addiction is bad without the why. You need to understand that addiction is a disease, 1. 2, is a disease of the brain. The brain has been hijacked like a pilot is hijacked in his own aircraft. You know, when you enter a plane, they say to you, the Federal Aviation Authority of Nigeria insists that every patient must obey the pilot and his crew. True or false? If you don't obey, what do? They can threaten you, we're stopping this plane now. We're dropping you from this plane. Or when they land, you are arrested immediately. But here's a pilot now, knowing that he took off from Lagos, and the place that people bought ticket to go to is Kano. And there's a hijacker on the plane. And he says to him, if you face Kano, I will shoot you. Face Timbuktu. Burkina Faso is where we're going. Pilot is trained, pilot is knowledgeable, pilot can fly his plane, but he can't go where he wants. That's exactly what addiction is. You now can't go where you want. It says where you are going. It's a disease of the brain. And the major characteristic is chronic relapse. If somebody doesn't relapse, it probably wasn't addiction. When he said that he ate Nkwobi and that was it, he wasn't addicted. That's why he could walk away from Nkwobi. But when you relapse, then you know this is an addiction. You are asking for the different things that people are addicted to. There's a woman that was so addicted to Unzu. Do you know that Unzu, that white chalk? It gave her a disease. She still couldn't stop. She ate ate it until her body dried up. I know somebody that eats concrete. They will break it off and be chewing sand. I don't understand. All kinds of things. So addiction is, you can take any legal activity of a human being, push it to the extreme, and it becomes an addiction. Anything can become an addiction. Sitting down can become an addiction. Igbos have a name called Aniele. Aniele means you don't look. I don't know how they can name somebody like that. But they have a name like that. Just be sitting and be looking. And there are people that are in that state. All of their lives, they're just sitting and life is passing them by. It's a conditioning of the mind. So these are the 4 doorways through which addictions come. I hear people say, how can a pastor, how can an imam, how can an ustaz, how can a church leader, a bishop do this, do that? If you look at these 4 factors, most of the time they happen before the age of 10. The predisposing factors happen before you are 10. Pastor Paulie said he was 10 when he saw for the first time the effect of Indian hemp. I bet you if there were plenty pain and sorrow in his soul at that time, he would look for marijuana. He would like that numbness he saw. That is what Siba said. She said she just wanted to stop feeling. But guess what? The way God created us, we were meant to feel. When we attempt to not feel, we now fall into these kinds of troubles. We're supposed to feel, embrace what we feel, own it, and then process. But you see, the problem we have is that nobody gives us the tools for processing. So once the trouble comes, we find the quickest way out. It's like the microwave season that we're in. Everything has to happen now, now, now. We don't have patience anymore. We don't have temperance anymore. We don't want to wait anymore. I mean, when I heard that 17-year-old boys, 19-year-old boys killed off a girl to perform ritual, to make money, I am wondering, what kind of money does a 17-year-old need? It's part of what is going on. Our thinking is warped. So we have to begin from the most elementary levels to build people who can be content with little as well as with much. That's what Paul was talking about. The videos I wanted to show, since the video refused to show, Victory, can you show me those images so that I'll begin to round up? The video is working. Okay. Let's see. Okay. What is that? Let me keep going. I don't want to be distracted. What is this? It moves. It's blue. Oh, well, okay. Okay. Make a test him. See what happens to him. Boom. He has taken the color of the thing. Come on. He's floating on air. I got to have Kaya now. Need to have Kaya, man, for the rain is falling. He's going. Come on now. There's the thing again. Distraction is right in front of him. Boom. I took it before. Wow. I felt good. I've taken it again. There we go. Legalize it. And I will publicize it. Bob Marley. Boom. Okay, now he's falling. He's not able to fall on his feet. He's falling on his bum. And he's still going. So now watch. He's now running to the thing. Running. Boom. Oh, he didn't even fall on his bum. He fell on his belly. Look at his body beginning to change. Look at the thing sticking to his body and he's shaking it off. No, I'm still in control. I'm still in charge. Okay. Can you see the shape of his body? It's changing, right? Watch. for you. He's still going for it. Now he can't help it. He's even falling on his head now. See his shape? See his color? We started off as a pure white bird, whatever that is. Okay. It's always available, the thing. Watch that. It can't go high anymore. It's called tolerance. He can hardly walk. His body is out of shape completely, but he's still going. He's going. Going. He's still taking. Can't even get high now. Yep. On his knees. Should I go back? Should I change my ways? Should I cry for help? No, I can't. I need it. I can't go back. I can't reach out to nobody. I can hardly walk, can hardly think, can hardly function, but I need it. What do you think that is? That's death. He has died. That's the end of the movie. Do you feel sad watching it? Yeah, it induces a feeling of sadness. It does. It does. All right, just give me those images and then I'll be done. I want you to see the physical effect of drugs on the brain. Physical. Not emotional, not psychological. I just want you to see. I know Hajia them have to leave. They were bereaved this morning. They have to go. You know they will bury tomorrow or today even, sorry. So they have to go. Thank you so much. Nice to have met you. Aisha was my junior in secondary school. That's what she was talking about. That am I still jumping? I will still be jumping until I die. Thank you, Aisha. Thank you, Hajia. All right. No, let's go to the other one, different brains. I want the one that has different brains. I want you to see the different brains. Yeah, that one that has like 4 is the one I need. I want you to see what happens to the brain. Why the person's behavior changes. Why the person's personality changes from a kind, loving person to an aggressive, angry person. Oh, I think I have a pointer in my bag so that I don't have to. Can you make it any bigger? Maybe from... Yes, thank you. There's a pointer in a packet, in a yellow packet. Yes. Just help me. Thank you. So that I don't have to keep going close there. Thank you. Okay. So here, this first one, this is a normal brain. This is how God created it. It's total, is entire, is complete, is consistent. The next one is the brain of an alcoholic. That is somebody who drinks a lot of alcohol. The next one is an Indian hemp smoker. And this one is a cigarette smoker. The reason you see a lot more damage here is that this person has been using longer than all the others, all right? But you notice that each drug has a different pattern. Is that correct? Yes. Every drug affects a different part of the brain. Every drug. That's why the behavior of an alcoholic is different from the behavior of somebody high on weed. All right? Some of the drugs are antidepressants. Some of the drugs are exciting ones, okay? Now, if you notice at the bottom here, all of the brains look the same. There's nothing affecting the bottom here. That is the base of your brain here, the stem of the brain. This is the part of the brain that controls routine work. Driving a car, riding a bicycle, going to work, reading a book, eating food. Nothing touches that. A person can be so drunk, but he will drive home. Do you agree with me? He will drive home. He may get up and fall, but he will drive home. Why? The part of the brain that controls routine is unaffected by addiction. And when people find that they can still function, they think they're okay. They're called functional addicts. That's the name for those type of addicts. They're functioning, so they think they're okay. Now, who can tell me what they think these black patches are? What do you think these are? These patches, what do you think they are? Can somebody try? Anybody try? What do you think it is? Give it a try. Sorry? Alterations. Okay? What else could they be? Huh? Holes. Now hole you they see, so no be alteration. That is, the drugs eat up brain matter like acid eats skin. This is a corroding of brain matter. This is the it. Now look at this brain. It's just this tiny piece here that is connecting the frontal brain with the rest of the brain. If this one gets eaten off, this portion of the brain will cut off from the rest of the brain. Guess what happens when that happens? Madness. This is what is responsible for psychosis in drug users. It is the gradual eroding of brain matter to the point where the brain has a short circuit. At every point in time as you're sitting, there are two things going on. Chemical and electrical impulses are running through your brain. The electrical impulses are the thoughts that come, and you can't control those. The impulses that come. The chemical ones are the emotions that follow. So if there are electrical impulses going here, and for example, you have a son who is beginning to use drugs, and you say to him, son, drugs are bad for you. And the neurons that carry messages, either from our senses, our hands, feeling, seeing, smelling, maybe he smells Nkwobi. You know that if you love Nkwobi, from 10 miles, you will recognize the smell. Because your brain has built a pathway between it and Nkwobi. For somebody that doesn't like Nkwobi, you can be saying, I'm smelling Nkwobi, and the person will say, where? I can't smell anything. There's no connection. But everything you are attached to, every habit you have, your brain builds a pathway between that thing and you. So you are hypersensitive. So the message comes to this person. Look, this drink you are drinking will destroy you. And he hears the message. And the neurons begin to carry the message. And this is the part of the brain that is supposed to interpret that message. You know, when the message gets here, what happens to it? It just hangs. Because the receptor is gone. That's why you will talk to an addict and they will cry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I hurt everybody. As they're getting up from, I'm sorry. And you say, this boy didn't even hear me. Oh, this boy is wicked and heartless. This boy doesn't care. No. The part of the brain that should interpret that message to turn it into action is gone. So he has no capacity anymore. Now this frontal part of the brain is called the prefrontal cortex. And in the prefrontal cortex, you have what is called the limbic system. The limbic system is what helps us make rational choices and rational decisions. Guess what? That's the part addiction attacks the most. So it attacks your capacity to make sense to yourself and to everybody else. That's why my father will give us drink and say, he won't see how you behave when you are drunk. I don't know what consequence that is, of what value is that. It doesn't make sense to you, but it makes sense to the addict. Why? The limbic system is messed up. So when you find people who are addicted, anger is not the solution. Laying curses is not the solution. Kicking them out and telling them when you hit rock bottom, you can find your way home. They won't find their way home. Why? The devil is come but for to steal, to kill, and to destroy. The design is for them to self-destruct. That's the plan of Satan. So, what do we begin to do? Like I said, we have to start teaching children how to be strong by themselves. how to be resilient, how to do life more healthily. You can put the lights back on, I think. Well, which other image? Oh, put the last one. The next one, yes. Let me show you one that will surprise you. So I've shown you alcohol, cannabis, and caffeine. Look at this one. I think you should see this one. Make it bigger. That is a pornography brain. The same effect as cocaine, as marijuana, as alcohol. These are holes also. This is a 3D imaging. That's why it looks slightly different and it's colored. But this is what pornography does to the brain. Whoever lied to you that porn is harmless is the biggest liar on the earth. It's the same damage. Listen, addiction is addiction, is addiction, is addiction. The only difference is the drug of choice. For some, it's gambling. For some, is eating. For some, is anger. That was my second addiction, people. Man, you didn't want to know me when I used to rage. Some people can't believe it, but yeah, I raged and took a knife and went after somebody. When they took the knife from me, I entered my car and was trying to connect the person with the wall. I was driving the car furiously and the person was running. When the person saw that they won't make it to the gate, they jumped into my fish pond. They'd rather be with the fish to bite them than for the car to help them reach the wall fast. Do you understand? So this is what porn does to your brain also. It's the same release of endorphins, dopamine. That's what your brain gets. Okay, so in dealing with addiction, what do we do? One, get into accountability. Accountability is one of the most powerful tools for recovery. What is accountability? Giving somebody permission to get in your face, to ask you, to confront you, to challenge you. Giving somebody an account of your day, your time. Every addict has a ritual. There's a ritual. There's something that happens. There's a cycle you go through before you fall. If you recognize that ritual, that's what to bring into accountability. Tell your accountability partner, on Fridays, once work is over, I become very tempted because I know Saturday there's no work, Sunday there's no work, so something tells me I can indulge without losing my job. Please, on Friday, 4 p.m., call me. Ask me where I am. Check on me. There was a young girl that came to me. She was living the life of a prostitute and she didn't want to do that anymore. That was her addiction. It was sex. And she came to me and I said, okay, anytime you are where you are tempted, call me. One day she called me. She said, Ma, tell me to leave where I am. I said, okay, get up and leave where you are. Okay, ma. She put off the phone. I called back in 3 minutes. So your accountability partner has to be invested in your own good enough to take the time to come after you. I called her 3 minutes later. Have you left? No, ma. Get up and leave where you are. Okay, ma. She put off the phone. I called up 2 minutes. Have you left? No, ma. I said, get up and leave that place. Okay, ma. And she called me after 5 minutes. I left. She said I was with a man and he had promised to give me 300,000 naira to have sex with him. I was so tempted because I need the money. Say, ma, I remembered you said call when you are struggling. So I called you. When you said get up and leave, I heard you, but my body refused to obey. I wanted the money and I also wanted the sex. I'm counseling another one out of America. She's in America, in Texas. She says, ma, can I confess something to you? She's been with men since she was 14. She's 23 now. She says when she just feels like having sex, she has a number of men on her phone. She just calls anyone that is available. It's not relationship, it's sex. So now she's working on herself and she doesn't want to live that way anymore. And she says to me, ma, I miss male attention. I'm craving it. Can you believe that? I'm craving male attention, ma. I said, I know. You're trying to break a habit and it's hard. I said, stay with it. So every day she's in contact with me. Every day she must contact me. That's part of accountability. And it is what the church has lost. That's why we're fallen so low. Nobody wants to be accountable to another. Nobody wants to be called to order. Nobody wants to be, what's the word? Nobody wants to be subject to another. James chapter 5 verse 17 is amazing that James will connect the concept of confessing of prayer to breaking bad habits. He said, confess ye your faults one to another that you may be healed. That's the power of accountability. Ecclesiastes says, woe unto him that falleth when he's alone. And then he says, two are better than one. For when one falls, the other will raise him up. That's the power up principle. And we must bring it back into the practice of breaking free from addiction. Otherwise, we'll never be free. That's one. Number two is prayer. Is prayer. Prayer makes tremendous power available. That's what the Bible says. Pray. Whatever God you believe in, pray. Whoever your God is. The only people we can't help in our rehab, and we tell them up front, are people who come there and tell us they're atheists or agnostics. We tell them we can't help you. You do not subscribe to a higher power. We can help you detox, but we can't help you change. Because there's nobody you are bringing allegiance to. There's nobody you're bowing before. There's nobody you feel you owe anything to. So you're going to live your life outside the bounds of society. Therefore, we can't help you. But if you say you have a faith, we have had Muslims in our rehab. We've had people who are not Christians, African traditional religions. We say to them, when the Christians are praying, the Muslims, 5 times a day, I must see your head on the ground. You must pray. You must call on that God and ask for his help. Pray. People call me, how do I break out of masturbation? I ask them, can you just come in our presence here and ask, we day here? They talk about bad. Just sit down here and start jerking off. Can you do that? No. You hide. I say, stop hiding. You know those corners you hide to do it. No go there. How will you not go there? Accountability. In doing accountability, there's a dimension that is called consequences. There must be consequences. No, if you are in recovery and there are no consequences, you are not in recovery, you are in relapse. Because consequences are a good way to drive home change. For example, when you were small, your mother said, don't go outside without your shoes. And then you did it. Did it the first time they left you. You did it the second time. The third time they brought out a cane. Flogged you like 6. Did you ever forget your slippers again? No, when you reach door, something will say, remember, you came back, looked for the shoe and wore them. Then you went out. Hello, consequences are a perfect way of driving change. So your accountability partner must put consequences that are painful, not cheap consequences, painful ones. And those ones will serve as a deterrent for bad behavior. So I've said accountability, consequences, and what else? Prayer. The third thing is the retraining of the brain. Every addiction is also a training of the brain. You have trained your brain by reason of use. So you have to retrain the brain. The reason your brain goes to the bad habit you want to break is because it associates the behavior with pleasure. And the brain is a pleasure organ. It was built for pleasure. We're created in the image of God. Whatever is pleasurable, your brain will call for more. Whatever is painful, your brain will run from it. Hello. If pin don't choke you before, anywhere you see pin, nervousness will catch you immediately. True or false? True. Your brain remembers. So, if you have done psychology, you've come across the concept of Pavlov's law of classical conditioning. Pavlov did an experiment with a puppy. He bought a puppy and a bell. Every time he rang the bell, he fed the dog. Ring the bell, feed the dog. Ring the bell, feed the dog. In a few days, once the dog heard the sound of a bell, whether an Oga bell or not, saliva would just start pouring from the mouth because he knew that food was coming. It's a conditioning. He connected the sound of the bell with the pleasure of food. Then the man switched the experiment. Ring the bell, slap the dog. Ring the bell, kick the dog, inflict pain on the dog. It took less time. Once the dog heard the sound of bell, started running. The same bell, but now the stimulus was different. So a lady tells me the story of a child that underscores this powerfully. 4-year-old. Every time there was power failure, the mother would light a candle and the baby would start, Mommy, what is this? The mother says, hot, don't touch it. She'll move nearer. Mommy, what is this? Don't touch it, it's hot. Mommy, what? So when she gets too close, the mother will take the candle away. Every time. One day, the mother said, I no go come out this candle. Make I see what this begin go do. Hey, Mommy, what is this? What is this? The mother kept saying it's hot, don't touch it. And because the mother didn't remove it, she put her finger on that attractive light. And she went, oh, it's hot, it's hot, it's hot. The mother said, I've been telling you it's hot since. You did not believe. Now you know. She said the next time she lit a candle, the baby started from the same place where she used to start. She said, Mommy, what is that? So it's no longer what it is. Going closer. From 5, what is that? The mother said, now you know. Why? The brain has registered. That's not an attractive thing. It's a painful thing. The brain will not go there. So how do you retrain the brain? I forgot to bring my rubber band. Who has rubber band? Give me rubber band. The one we used to tie money, tie hair, is the most powerful tool of human reformation. Auntie Ronnie, this one won't work. This one is hair band. Who has raw rubber band? Come out and for your hair. I go give you back. I know girls have it. Some girls must have rubber band. I have some in my hair, but I cannot remove it now because... Yes, thank you, my dear. Please give back to Auntie Ronnie. This is only one. I need a second one because one will break quickly. So you need 2. I know the beautiful thing about rubber band. It has many colors. So girls, when you're dressing up, you can do to match. You understand? It'll be part of your accessories. Reformation. Okay? So you can take 2 rubber bands and wear them on your wrist. I'm left-handed, so I'll wear on my right hand. If anybody sees rubber band on your hand and says, why are you wearing rubber band? Tell them it's Pavlov's law of classical conditioning. The English will be too much. They'll just keep going. They won't ask you for explanation. But it's nobody's business. Somebody say, hey, now that Reverend Christy has said it, if I wear a rubber band, they will say, please, have you ever gone to naming ceremony? And they lifted the baby up and said, the name of this baby is they. Have you met anybody called they or them? Who are these they that you are so worried about? That you live your life for? They will think, they will say, why did God give people mouth? It's to talk. Allow them to talk. You'll be sorting yourself out. He said they will look at me. Let them look. Now why God give them eye? But while they are looking, you are improving yourself. So, every addict has a ritual. I said that before. You know where the tension begins from. And it always starts with a thought. The battlefield is here. Your brain will say, you are feeling a bit tense. Just look for one stick now. You go there, okay. Just wrap one bong. Go there, okay. So just take a little puff, a little snip, a little sip. It starts with a thought. So anybody who wants to break free from addiction must enter into the place of brutal self-honesty. I said self-honesty. You've got to be honest with yourself. Why? Your heart knows. I told you one of the pointers. You know. So when the thought comes, you need to chillax. Just go find one bottle. You say to your brain, here is your bottle. Have you ever slapped yourself accidentally with rubber band? It's not a funny something. So you do like this and you tell your brain, here is your one puff. Pop. If your brain says to you 20 times a day, smoke a cigarette, you must commit to pulling this thing 20 times a day. Guess what? Rubber band has been proven to reduce struggles by 85% within the first 10 days of use. In 10 days, that thing that has held you for 30 years can be 85% gone. Haba, you mean prayer and accountability won't handle the other 15%? Just this. So this is the commercial time now. For gossiping, everybody shout rubber band. For fighting anywhere, anytime. For slapping of faces. For flippant words. For alcohol. Shay, I don't call person rubber band, sorry. For marijuana, ganja, Ire, Rastafari. What do you use? Cocaine, anger, workaholism. Yes, so it's rubber band. Every time. You know, Ma, one of my strongest testimonies. I went somewhere and I spoke about this. And a mother called me. She said, Ma, I saw my 7-year-old putting on a rubber band. And I said to her, hey, what are you addicted to, my child? You are only 7, I don't know. She said, Mommy, don't you know that I suck my thumb? I want to stop. And rubber band stopped the baby from sucking. A child caught the idea. Every one of us is a work in progress. If all of us in this room decide, I'm wearing a rubber band for the next 2 weeks for this, it's amazing the amount of change that will happen in Nigeria from just this little room. It's a powerful thing. So, go get your rubber band. And if you have many problems, buy the pack. Pack of rubber band has over 1,000 rubber bands. How about? By the time you finish 1,000, your brain goes set. You go there normal. You go just there normal. Praise the Lord. Praise God. So, honestly, breaking free from addiction is a tough job, but it's possible. I've seen broken men and women get their lives back. The oldest person we've had in our rehab was 59 years old. A Russian woman, consultant pediatrician, addicted. And I have seen God restore lives, and it's possible. But the final thing is we must introduce God. It's not possible to break free without God. Those demons won't give way unless a higher power confronts them. And only the Church of Jesus Christ has that authority to deal with the habit and deal with the demons. Now, for those of you who are guys who say, I don't know how to stop masturbating, once you have an erection, put a rubber band around it, put a ring on it. If you give it power, it cannot withstand.
Goodness. Well, this is just the beginning. There's much more that is going to happen. Can we appreciate my darling sister, Christy Baturi Ogbefun? Reverend Christy Baturi Ogbefun. We are supposed to take 1 or 2 questions because our time is far gone. We can't do that, unfortunately. But there's some numbers that have been put on the screen for counseling purposes. The CBN, the Strong House, which is the organization that brought this to us, and we'll take it to other places. There are 2 numbers there. And you can go online, you can send your questions, you can get help. If you want to help somebody, you can give these numbers. And of course, we're connected to a number of other people, and we will be walking alongside with them. Well, this is the number. And we also have the 700 Club that have a 24-hour counseling line. Beyond, if you need help, you need somebody's help, you can call any one of these lines, and the Lord will help you and help us all. Amen. Well, tomorrow, by the grace of God, Reverend Christy is going to be in the Strong House, live and direct. It's 10 to 11. The church service is short and sharp. You don't want to miss it. And she's going to be zeroing in on a number of things. I mean, relationships. She's going to be talking. You don't want to miss that. So the Strong House is number 8, Solomon La. That's the Goshen Plaza. It's directly opposite the second gate of Jabi Motor Park. It's easy to locate. And if you need counseling, if you need help of any sort, just send a message to that number, the very first number of the Strong House, or on the website, or we have also the Facebook page. There's a WhatsApp number, and there's a box there. You can send private numbers. We will get to you. We will link you up. If we can't help you, we will link you with somebody that can help you. That is guaranteed. Thank you very much. We appreciate everyone, all our guests, we thank you. For Bidemi Treasure, we appreciate you and your lovely band. And Tigris supporting us, we thank you very, very much. We thank you for all the other people. We thank you for I Am and the I Am crew. Thank you so much for giving us. So please appreciate them. I want to thank all the members of the Strong House, for each one of you, for PIDH, for all of us, protocol, ushering, media. I appreciate every guest that is here. I thank you for Secure the Future initiative. Thank you for being here. And I appreciate everybody. Thank you for staying. Thank you for all of you that contributed to make today wonderful. The Lord will bless each one of you. The Lord will keep you and protect you from addictions and distractions in Jesus' name. You will live your lives well. Hope will be inspired in your life. I want to thank especially my darling Reverend Christy Ogbefun. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for all the things you've done. Thank you for being open with us. And like I said, the name of our rehab, I wish you put the number up. But you can get, once you connect with us, we'll be able to give you that information, just in case you need help, just in case you know somebody that needs help, that needs to go to her rehab center. Her rehab center, I mean, Reverend Christy has been trained internationally, South Africa, America, Europe. She's well versed, and then she combines it with being a child of God. There's no better kind of training you could get from her, you know, in her rehab center. Okay, so it's called 180 Degrees, and it's in Port Harcourt. Okay, so thank you very, very much. Can we just close with a word of prayer? Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for all that has happened today. We thank you for those that have broken free, even by the reason of what they've heard tonight. Keep them free from all the things that addict, from all the things that distract. Let them fulfill their destiny. Let them become